Hello and welcome to an all-new episode of Anime Brain Freeze. We are your hosts, blazing brightly like the golden sun.
Hi, I'm John.
And I'm CC, and when there's just too much cool anime to watch, we've got you covered. Today we're wrapping up one long-running series and are taking some huge steps towards the finale of another. First, we will join Special Fire Force Company 8 for one final time to hopefully extinguish the flames that threaten to consume the world. And after that, we will finally find the treasure we have been hunting for so long in the first core of Golden Kamuy's final season. So face your almost certain death with a daring grin on your face. Scream at the top of your lungs to let the world know that your soul is immortal, and definitely don't pause the pod. We'll be right back. Okay, we are here. I can't believe it. It's time to wrap up another series on this show. We
finally got here. Kind of crazy to think about.
Yes. I mean, Fire Force is not one of our longest running series. But,
no.
You know, we got a couple of those finished up, like Attack on Titan and Fruits Basket. So, and I guess, although that's technically only 3 seasons, we got another one finishing up this review season, so there's that. But yeah, first on the docket for this episode is the second part of the third and final season of Fire Force. And if you've listened to our review so far, or listen especially to our review of the first part of the third season, you will remember that we were not very hot on it. So that was something we were worrying about in regards to the second season. Like, how would this wrap up? Because to us it seemed like, hey, okay, there are an immense amount of chapters left. We thought, hey, this will probably be a complete rush job. Also, the animation quality in the first half of this third season was pretty abysmal, except for the first episode, I guess. So we were not very optimistic when it came to this second season. But I'm glad to report I thought this finale was fucking awesome. John, what did you think about it?
Yeah, I thought it was great, man. I know we had our about it, but I think they brought it back around pretty well. Yeah, I think they pulled it off. I mean, it's not perfect, of course. There are always like these mini misgivings here and there, and also some, hey, this could have probably looked better in certain parts, maybe. But considering how down we were on the previous season, I was very much surprised how satisfied I ended up getting, like, going out of this season, going out of the series in general. Looking forward to what might be coming next. So we'll see. But yeah, so we ended the last... where exactly did we end the last season? Oh, right. At the pivotal cliffhanger, because Shinra... It looked like Shinra had traveled to the past or something, because he had like this weird a dollar link thing happening to him, and then he saw a vision of the past, and he woke up with blonde hair, and nobody knew what was going on here, and the least of him, he himself. So yeah, what actually was going on? So apparently, Shinra was taken over by his doppelganger from $1 for the past 3 months, who was basically the version of Shinra that people said he was in school. Like, the rumors that were spread about him, all the bad stuff of him being violent and killing his family, which he didn't do, are the characteristics that were transferred to his doppelganger. And this is already a big hint to what a dollar actually is, because there were hints before in the previous seasons and what it could be. And once the doppelgangers got introduced, and hey, here are these versions of people that are kind of maybe demonic or whatever, and are evil or what, it's not clear what they actually are. And this is the first hint at what these doppelgangers actually are and how they are created and what they actually do and what a dollar does and what a dollar is. So that was very interesting to see what to learn about how this all works. So the idea behind this is that so first of all, we had these weird in the flashback in the at the end of the previous season where Shinra saw a vision of the past. All the humans or all the footage in that was live action, and that was very interesting and very confusing. I don't know. I'm pretty sure you remember that as well, John, right?
Yeah, that was. I wonder how that played out in the manga. If they just used like photos or something, you know?
I think so. I know they used photographs for a specific person, so I must assume also for the flashback they did that as well. So the show confirms now at the beginning of this season that the humans of the past, the ones from the live action footage, look different to Shinra as well, which was one of the revelations. Because at the end of the past season, you could still think, might this have been a stylistic choice or whatever, like. I don't know, just contrasting the stuff. Or, and of Evangelion did that as well. They also introduced live action footage into that movie and so on. And it didn't really meant that there was a difference between our characters and those characters. It was just used. And I think Metal Gear Solid 2 did that as well at the end, right?
Mm-hmm.
There was suddenly live action footage there in the final monologue or whatever.
Yeah, and just footage of people on the New York streets.
Yeah, exactly. So this could have been something like that. But again, at the beginning of the season, it's confirmed that actually Shinra also recognized these people as looking differently than him. He's like talking about it with Arthur. He's like, Arthur, by the way, of course, the only person who realized that Shinra was taken over by his doppelganger. That he's like, Shinra was Shinra, but he was not Shinra. Of course, it's Arthur, so he can't communicate better than that because he's an idiot, but we love him. So, but he was the only one who got it because he understands Shinra. He knows the guy. They have been frenemies since the academy or whatever. So he got it, while the other ones were confused. But yeah, so the show confirms that the humans of the past, the ones in the live action footage, look different, and Shinra recognized that as well. So there's already these hints dropped in. Okay, why was that the case, and so on. And we learned that Shinra, when he was taken over by his doppelganger, also apparently was violent to Sister Iris when she came to him and tried to tell him that her powers had grown activated. Because this is what apparently happens since the appearance of the pillars, like a dollar, the parallel world that looks kind of hellish, like a hell dimension or whatever with the black flames and everything, that caused the human combustion and stuff like that, and the appearance of the infernals. So since the pillars have appeared, a dollar has moved closer to the real world and causing more human combustion and also increasing the power for the fire users. And that counts Iris, who we thought until this, or at least let's say until the midpoint of the previous season, didn't have any powers really. But it turns out she has. They were just so subdued and that she didn't realize it herself. But now she knows she has has abilities. So yeah, that was interesting, and she had worries about that and so on, and want to go to Shinra, and his doppelganger just backhanded her, like fist to the face, looked really bad, and Shinra, of course, feels horrible about this, even though he didn't really do it himself. His doppelganger did, and his doppelganger embodies the worst characteristics people said Shinra has, but he actually didn't have them. So apparently the doppelgangers are made up, are the accumulation of the image people have of certain things or of other people in this regard. So whatever the consensus in the entire world or several important people is, or whatever, on what a certain person looks like, or what the world looks like, that gets transferred to the doppelganger version. And that was a really interesting concept. I was like, oh, this is super interesting. I don't think I've seen something like that in anime before. So the power, mind over matter, of course, but also
the imagination from the real world seeping into this parallel world and creating an imaginary world from that. And that coming back to the real world. Really interesting. And there are even more facets to that that also relate to the flashback with the live action people and everything. So that's one of the most interesting aspects in this season, I think. And I'm really glad that they really got into that and didn't leave it like open. Like, what did that even mean? So that's cool. Another cool thing, in my opinion, was the OP of this season. Like, one of the most fire OPs this anime season. I had to like play it over and over and over again. Like TM Revolution did that, or at least the lead singer was involved in that. Which, hey, for people who didn't know, the first OP of Soul Eater, the show or the manga from Okubo that was adapted before, also was a TM Revolution OP.
That's funny. Right, it was.
How about that?
Big thing.
Could have given us like a small hint at what was to come at the end of the season. Because this already felt kind of like a full circle moment. It's like, oh, okay, we're going back to, hey, here's that. And also, later, an ED gets played. First, I'll get into that later. But the normal ED was amazing as well. Like, Survive Set the Prophet did that, and I love that band. And so we're getting spoiled for this season in terms of OPs and EDs. The animation that was also great, so I really liked it. So, okay, Shinra wakes up. Realizes what happened, is really sorry about Iris and everything, and tries to make up for it. Is really upset that his hair got bleached because he thinks that it's like only people do that who run after fads, and that makes it super uncool. Like if you do it that way, and also that thankfully that coloring washes out easily. Not so much the tattoos that Vulcan gave him. They're here to stay, I guess. So sorry for that. And Shinra really hates that. But it was really funny. So so since the first big fight we get, and that happens in the second season mostly, is the appearance of the rise of the seventh pillar brings the appearance of the doppelganger of Benimaru's and Konro's previous chief, Shinmon Hibachi. And that was a really cool fight. First of all, alleviated our worries mostly that this animation would look as bad, or this season would look as bad as the previous half in terms of animation. Because that fight looked really cool. It had a nice visual style with the environment being like this classic Japanese wood painting style and everything. And there was a really neat idea. And the action animation itself also looked really cool. And yeah, plot-wise, we get a nice flashback to Benimaru's youth, where his captain is like still heading the company and everything, and Benimaru is still pretty young, still an upstart. And I feel like maybe I didn't check it. The flashback and the fight were maybe longer in the manga because it felt pretty quick. Like it both went past in like one episode. But it also didn't feel necessarily super rushed. It felt quick, but it didn't feel like it was like it just blazed through there, and the emotional moments didn't completely hit. How did you feel about it?
Yeah, I get what you mean, but I don't know. I was watching. I felt like they had a lot to get through, but
yeah,
I think they probably gave it about as much time as they could without it feeling like they skipped the bulk of it or made it super compressed or anything like that. So yeah. I think it was fine for what it was.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you could have probably done an extension of that. You could have shown a bit more of the past. You could have given like the flashback one entire episode, the fight maybe one entire episode. But it didn't feel like it
if it was like cutting out some parts of the chapters or whatever, it wasn't over pronounced, it wasn't overbearing or anything. Like, it wasn't super noticeable. It felt fast, but it didn't feel too fast necessarily. And in my opinion, we get some nice Benimaru character background regardless, and the relationship to his former captain is conveyed enough to understand why Beni looked up to him. Like, Hibachi taught him to pick and fight only the necessary battles and to be conscious of your own power. Like, with great power must come great responsibility and so on. So he was, I guess, kind of Beni's, like, bad-tempered Uncle Ben. And it's kind of nice that Hibachi calling Beni a big idiot all the time has a hidden meaning in that Hibachi thinks that only idiots would shoulder all the responsibility for the lives they protect and take in their work, not shifting that responsibility to a god like the Holy Order of Soul does. Like, he considers himself such an idiot, so him calling Beni basically the same early on, even though a slightly smaller version of that, means that he saw his potential, but Beni still had work to do. Though I would say without Conroe doing the necessary translation, Benimaru wouldn't have turned into the person he is today. Because, like, it was a very non-communicational approach by Hibachi to teach him, like, these lessons. So I'm glad that Conroe was there.
Yeah.
I mean, he was kind of the real, like, senpai to Beni and the real teacher for most of the time anyway. So, and the big brother and everything. So he was very important either way, but I feel also in that relationship. And there's this moment where Hibachi talks to Conroe and is like, you said too much again to Benimaru, right? He's supposed to figure this out by himself, but Conroe says something along the lines of, well, yeah, but you're really bad at conveying what you mean, so I had to say something. And I agree with him. So that was the right constellation of people at the right time, I think. So I'm glad that that happened. But yeah, it kind of, like, in the flashback, this kind of is emphasized, like, the attitude that Hibachi has by him getting killed by the kid of a woman that turned into an infernal and was killed or destroyed by Hibachi. But he doesn't hold a grudge against the kid that kills him, because, like, yeah, we're all killers in that regard. I killed people to protect other people, but I still kill them. So I can't protest at you also killing me for this. Like, I don't have a leg to stand on here. In his opinion. I mean, you could argue he does, like, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few, right? In this, it would be an argument to that. But, he doesn't see it that way. He's like, hey, if I kill a person to save another person, or to save even several other people, I'm okay with getting punished for that down the road, because that's the life I chose, and I'm able to take on that responsibility. And that's all he wanted to also convey to Benimaru, like, that he would become someone who could take on such a responsibility. So yeah, nice flashback, nice character background, and, like, very quickly breezed through that, like, in 1.5 episodes pretty much. But still, effectively conveyed. So I was like, oh, I guess the pacing now is back to something that works. So was glad to that. And the short thank you for everything and not bad exchange between them at the end of the fight before, his doppelganger evaporates and everything was really nice. So that was a really good start to the season. That gave me a good feeling. It was like, okay, I think they're back on track here. And yeah, after that, we now suddenly have a new moon, and that is the moon from Soul Eater.
It looks a little familiar.
Yeah, it's like, okay, what is going on here? We have Licht disguising as Dr. Marimo, which looked ridiculous with his fucking ball of hair. But yeah, then we kind of learn the truth that I already alluded to in the beginning, that the Great Cataclysm that the White Clad are trying to, like, cause trying to initiate again, which happened before in the past, is merging people's images of the world with the real world itself, which explains Shinra's doppelganger. So to go into more detail on that, the world of Adala is a world imagined of imagination and people's perceived image of the world. That might differ. Like if you look at the world, you might perceive it differently than the world actually is. And your perception, your warped, on occasion, perception, is what forms the people and the world that is Adala. So we have this very funny parallel that relates to our main character, and where all of that is explained. And that, of course, is Jesus Christ. Because of the existence of Jesus, who saved the world, our real world, quote unquote, at least in the scripture or in a story told in our world that certain people believe in, it became the reality in the world that came to be after the first big cataclysm, when the Adala world fused with ours for the first time. And that is kind of also the explanation why there is live action footage in the flashbacks to the old world. Basically, what the show is saying is, because there were stories told in the form of manga and animation in the old world, the Great Cataclysm basically created a manga world. That's a really fun concept, in my opinion, and I don't think I've seen before. That's why, like, everyone is, like, I guess, an anime character now. And back in the day, they weren't. Because, there were images and story told in the old world, and apparently in that version of our reality, manga, and especially manga from Okubo, apparently were so powerful that they seeped into Adala. And when the first cataclysm happened, that is basically what the new rebirth version of our world became. And
That's
it's so crazy. But it's funny, and it's fun, and it's a great idea, and it opens up so many possibilities. Like, I kind of wish to a certain degree they had introduced that concept a bit earlier even, so they would have, they do a lot of that already in these final couple of episodes, where it's like, oh, here, that happens, and I will get to that. But it's still like, hey, if we had introduced that further, maybe, you could have done something with people perceiving certain things, and then that changes the real world in a certain way. And I guess we had parts of that in Recreators, where the creators of the manga could basically imagine the characters they created in slightly different ways, and that would add to their power set and stuff like that. And this is kind of going along these lines, but all of this has already technically, I think, been, or a lot of this has been already like made solid or predetermined, so there's not that much change happening anymore now. There's definitely some big ones happening by the end, but a lot of that stuff is already something that happened in the old world and is now seeping into the real world with this new cataclysm. So, but yeah, it was still super cool. Also explains the Soul Eater moon, like I said. It's a bit self-indulgent that an image from one of the Fire Force mangaka other works was apparently so influential on the public subconscious that it manifested via Adala. But
yeah, that's
maybe Soul Eater was the only popular manga in the version of our world from that timeline. Who knows? Or at least the most popular. Maybe that's what he wants, what he wishes for. Could be, but it's fun. It's fun. It's a fun idea. So we have Sho, Shinra's brother, returning to the surface together with Arrow. Sho has an Adala link with his mom. We see a flashback to when she gave birth to him and Shinra, which was really interesting. Their mom's mother sucks hard. Like, both their parents suck because they disowned her, because apparently she had a virgin birth, and this is where the Jesus parallel comes in, because she gave birth to technically at least one hero who would save the world. Shinra is Jesus, so there's that. Because that story from the old world seeped into this new world. That's what Shinra became. Again, really, really fun contrast. And I guess technically with his fire feet, he can walk on water and stuff like that. So
I guess that works as well. But I think it's mostly about a hero who would save the world, and they used the Jesus imagery for that. So, Show also was very quickly after his turnaround in the previous season figuring out that apparently someone is trying to deny Shinra this role of a hero, and we, of course, can be pretty sure who that is at this point already, but by using the perceived image of him being a devil as a weapon. So, because that's what happened to Shinra all his life. Like, he was perceived as an outsider, as a devil, as someone who killed his family, his mom and his brother in a fire, and that he's a bad person, and that such a person could never be a hero. And since he's destined to be that, that's the enemy's faction's weapon to stop him from ever becoming that hero. Because, you know, that imagination, or more, if more and more people start to believe in him being the devil, that perceived image of him could seep into Adola and could actually turn him into such a devil, technically. And so that's what Show figures out at this point. We only got one pillar left, the 8th one. And since the current perceived image by all humans of what awaits at the end of the Great Cataclysm is death, this will become a reality currently, which is what the White-Clad want. But if you could change that perception, like give the people enough hope that there's another outcome, the Cataclysm could be a rebirth instead, or even just leave everything as it is, or does something else. So that's once the Fire Force figures that out, that's their intent. They're going to try to protect the people. They're going to try to raise their hope in the face of hopelessness, and thus maybe change reality to the changed perception of humanity, of the Cataclysm and everything. And so of course they have their work cut out for them. The final Titan appears, which is an image of, or the doppelganger of Raffles the First, who created the religion of the Holy Order of Soul and everything. Zafaza! And yeah, he appears as the Titan.
Every time they mention something about Holy Order Soul, all I think of is Guilty Gear, by the way.
Of course, yeah. Can't avoid it.
I'm like, wait a minute, hold on. Which character? Yeah. What game? What series?
Well, we have a move that could be right out of Guilty Gear, because they load Honda from the second company into a super headbutt cannon. It doesn't really work out.
Yeah.
But it's funny. But yeah, so I was like, okay, there's all this stuff with the hope and perceived image of the world and everything. Does that make Fire Force like the anti-doomer show? Like, the bad things can only happen because the majority of people perceive the world as bad, so the bad stuff from their perception, imagination becomes reality? Like,
kind of?
Yeah, like after Trigon's positive spin on Christianity, this also seems to take a bit of a jab at that, or at least against Catholicism, I guess, in regard to the humanity has to suffer in this life and the good life awaits in heaven, right? Basically, the show is saying, if you think like that, you're ruining your life and the life of other people here on Earth. Because this is your life, this is the life you have, and this is the life the other people have, so focus on making that better. And don't, like, carry yourself over to if you think that your life is, like, already forsaken and the good life awaits you in the next life, then you have fucked the world, basically.
I mean, it's not untrue, I guess.
And I'm not only going, taking a jab at Christianity here, or the show isn't. Like, there are other religions that think if they cause mayhem in this life and kill other people in this life, right, then that will benefit them in the next one. And basically the show is kind of like, fuck those people. And I agree. But yeah, it's we get a nice, in that fight against the 8th Titan, we get a nice reunion of the brothers of Sho and Shinra, and it's so cool to see them standing next to each other and Sho calling Shinra brother. That was like, oh man. That's so nice. And all is happy, and Shinra actually defeats Raffles pretty easily with one kick to the face. But that was actually, of course, the plan of the White Clad, because Raffles was, of course, due to religious indoctrination and everything, perceived as a savior, bringing the only salvation for humanity by most of the people on the planet, or at least in this country. And almost everyone now calls Shinra a devil for killing him, for killing Raffles. And so that makes him disappear. And being fused with the pillars in Adola and everything. And yeah, that was a neat twist. I mean, I saw it coming. I was like, uh-oh. We've been talking about this perceived imagery, all the stuff, and all the people are like, oh, Raffles will save us. What will happen when Shinra kills him? I don't know. Did you catch that? Did that catch you off guard? Did that surprise you, John? Or were you like, oh, okay?
I mean, they had been sort of... calling it breadcrumbs is probably understating it a little bit.
Yeah.
But they had been very, not heavy-handedly, but they had been leading up to it, being like, hey, we've been implying this whole time. What do you think is going to happen if Shinra does this? Uh-oh, who could have seen this coming? I'm just like, okay.
Yeah, but I thought, because we saw something in the OP, which we'll get to later because it comes at the very end, I thought that this, like, their changed perception and Shinra calling him a devil, or calling Shinra a devil, would actually turn him into one.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because they were imagining him to be the bad guy, it would turn him into that, technically. But it didn't really... just made him disappear to Adola or whatever, because, like, I guess he's not the hero that's there anymore. That was something that felt a bit like, okay, I expected something else, but I expected this to be the plan of the White Clad for whatever reason. So, but yeah, then from that moment on, Shinra is taken out of the game a bit for a while. The Eighth and Arrow are going to Amaterasu to change something about the cataclysmic switch, like trying to stop it from even happening. Ogun is tagging along, and we get a nice flashback of when him, Shinra, and Arthur met in the training academy. Like, that was really nice. Also, we see a bit more the prejudice that Shinra was facing in a bit more detail. Like all the stuff that was raining down on him in the early days of him at the academy. That is pretty hard to see. It's pretty tough. Like, you know, for no reason, basically. Like, everyone whispering behind his back and everything. And when Ogun is asking him to play basketball with him and his team, everyone else on his team leaves because they don't want to have anything to do with Shinra and stuff like that. So that was pretty harsh. But it was nice that we saw it, I think, because that was a factor of his past that was a bit underdeveloped so far. I don't think we didn't see that many flashbacks. We always saw some of him, like, as a kid, like shadow people in the background calling him the devil, but never in such, I think, like, realistic detail, because there weren't that many flashbacks to the academy days, I think. So that was cool. Just, you know, always get a bit more character detail sprinkled in. I like that. And I feel like this season was pretty good at always, like, piecemeal sprinkling them in here and there. So that was pretty neat. Yeah, and again, the way he was perceived by most people is very important for this final season. So it's good they took the time to give us a few more glimpses at that. The animation quality, like I said, was not quite back to the heights of season 1 and 2, but it's miles better than the first half of season 3, which again gets proven in the next big action scene we see when they are at Amaterasu and they have to face Charon and that one white clad that looks like a hospital nurse. I forgot what her name was.
Yeah, I'm having trouble remembering, but I know who you mean.
I mean, she's not that important. She barely does anything in that fight. The most important one is Charon. And I thought this was pretty cool. Like,
a pretty cool fight. Pretty effective, some nice choreography. Looked pretty good. Ogun isn't able to do that. Ogun isn't able to do that much against Karon because just Karon is so powerful with his counter mechanic and everything. But it was neat. And also I had a laugh at the fact that like his solution to beating Karon ultimately was attacking him with more than one person at the same time. Like, Hinazawa, please come in here and shoot him as well while I pummel him or whatever.
Sometimes you just need more gun.
Yeah, but I thought this was against the rules of combat in most shows, though. I was like, hey, we always have to have one-on-one fights. I mean, some shown action shows do handicap battles, but I don't know. That was just weird. So, oh, yeah, we have more people than just me, so why don't we just like rush him and attack him with multiple people at the same time so he can counter everything? It's like, okay, yeah, I could have told you that. A masterclass strategy. But yeah, Vulcan, you and Lisa have to face Giovanni inside of Amaterasu. Meanwhile, Arthur gets distracted and plays a rescue event in Dragon Question. He's so great. I feel like they always have to find a way to take Arthur out of the equation because he's also so powerful at this point. So that felt like, hey, we need to give a spotlight to Vulcan and Lisa for a bit. So Arthur needs to go somewhere else for just a moment.
It is crazy how impossibly strong he actually is.
Yes. I mean, he is kind of like the concentration of what the show is doing with this final season in terms of perceived imagery, right? Because
True.
He gets stronger by perceiving himself as a stronger person. His delusions feed into his power. So he is technically like a personified version of a dollar in a way. So it's weird that Shinra kind of is the main character and not him.
Yeah.
I mean, he is kind of like the other side of the coin to Shinra, and the show makes that very evident in this final season in more ways than one. But it's still funny that he is kind of like, he is that person. He is the person that can imagine with the right, let's say motivation, can imagine himself to be stronger due to, hey, this could be this and this in an RPG. And also my parents abandoned me and that I had to make up myself as a knight or I would go fucking insane and kill myself. That's the sad part of it. But also he just has this ability now of being able to perceive himself in a different light, just if the outside factors are correct and everything are beneficial to that. And that's just crazy and fun. And that's why he's probably my favorite character in the show. So, but yeah, we learned a nice bit about the Vulcans' past and everything. I mean, we knew a bit about it, but now we learned that Giovanni's ancestors worked together with Vulcan's ancestors on Amaterasu, and a member of Vulcan's family decided to seal away Amaterasu's true power of world destruction, which pissed off the Giovanni family, and that's why they killed them and everything. So, it was pretty cool. We have small tease for what is to come at the end here, also in the flashback, because there is a little toy sculpture in the Vulcan flashback that looks like Excalibur from Soul Eater, and we will talk about that character later. But yeah, then Lisa and Vulcan take down Giovanni ostensibly. It looked really cool and satisfying. Also animation-wise, the problem is you was infected with one of Giovanni's insects and is now being controlled by him and is initiating the cataclysm. Meanwhile, outside, Karon is doing is still fighting everything, and we learn that he's doing all of this to give Haumea, his ward technically, peace. Who, as we've already guessed from earlier hints in the previous season, or in the previous core, has been hearing the negative emotions and thoughts of humans in her head, like the entire time, because of her telepathic powers. Which, of course, would drive her insane. And to take her pain away, Karon wants to wipe away humanity. I guess to a point that is understandable, but a bit of an overkill.
Little extreme.
Yeah. Either way, it makes him one of the best villains of the show, in my opinion. And his power set, of course. Like, he isn't even using his power to absorb the pain Haumea causes him when he lets her physically vent her madness on him. He says her pain is his pain and he will endure it to better understand her. And that's pretty badass. Like, you feel that he has a love. You feel that he has a love for her, and that is confirmed later on. Like, Haumea's only solution to not completely breaking and killing herself due to completely breaking down and killing herself due to being constantly bombarded with an onslaught of negative emotions was just giving into her madness and enjoying it. That's why she has the big smile on her face most of the time and everything, and is laughing a lot and stuff. And it's very disturbing. And Charon is the only one who understands her pain. And when she takes a look into his mind, and the only emotion she gets from him is unconditional love in big, bold letters on the screen. Just because Fire Force is not really about subtext.
What subtlety.
Yeah, that was pretty sweet, though. That was very nice. Like, she was like, what do you think about me? And she just look, you can do that, right? And I guess she was scared about what she would find, but then she takes a look, actually, and that's what she sees. And she says, oh, okay. Doesn't know how to deal with that really, but you feel like she's happy about it in her own way. Like, if he only had found another way to take her pain, another way to take her pain away, but now just to block the others long enough from getting inside and stopping the cataclysm, he sacrifices himself to block to block them. And from reaching the core of Amaterasu, which makes things worse for Haumea, since it means she loses the only person who ever brought a good emotion into her life. So I don't know, probably wasn't the right decision here, but it's understandable. It's just a bit narrow-minded on Charon's part, but it was effective from an emotional standpoint. And then we get this cool shot of Haumea gliding through the collective negative unconscious of humanity. It has this really surreal tone to it and everything. There's really awesome surrealist imagery. I feel like the show really has delivered many visuals I did not expect from the Shonen Battle show. Really cool. Like in this season, like, the woodcut stuff, wood painting stuff, with the, in the fight against Hibachi and everything. And now this. And I feel like David Production always are able to surprise me with this shit. I mean, I must assume it was in the manga, and because it makes sense that is something that came in from Adola and everything in terms of imagery, because that's also part of the previous world, or part of the imagery of the previous world that Adola was infused with. But it's just, they realized that so well. It looks so cool in animation as well. And it didn't necessarily have to work in animation, but they made it work, so that was neat. And yeah, as the world sinks into despair at the sight of Adola merging with the real world, the doppelgangers take over. Also, the world becomes even more manga-esque, with speech bubbles appearing next to characters for a while. Also a neat idea. Really like that visual. It was really cool idea. I wonder how they did that in the manga, because you have speech bubbles there anyway. So how did they differentiate from that? Or if that was an anime exclusive thing?
I wonder.
Yeah, I need to look that up. But that was really neat. Arthur is back.
Yeah, he is.
Delivering the final blow to Giovanni. It feels a bit like an afterthought, because we already had Giovanni taken down by Lisa and by Vulcan, but it's still cool. Like, just stabbing the infected, possessed you through the head with his sword without hesitating, only killing the Giovanni parasite inside, and then saying one of the most awesome lines in this fucking show. People like you who only look at the surface and make a fuss will leave nothing behind and will know nothing. Be gone, you cowardly, vulgar insect. Oh. Hell yeah. That's my boy. That's my king. Y'all ain't got a king like that. So, yeah. He's great. And he receives, for that feat, he receives a ring from you for finishing his quest, and thus finally levels up to the Night King persona. Hooray. But that ring is actually more important than one would think. But yeah, each of the human pillars embodies one of the humanity's core negative emotions: madness, passivity, indifference, rage, destruction, fear, and hate. Taken all together, they form Captain Destruction. Captain Planet. They are human despair. What was Captain Planet's nemesis, or for one episode where all the bad powers combined? I think it was
Captain Pollution or whatever.
Captain Pollution. Yes, right. That's right.
God.
So take us back. But anyway, yeah, I think. Who were the different? I think Indifference was Sho. I think Rage was Shinra. That comes into play later. Madness was, of course, Homea. Or I'm pretty sure she was. Yeah. So we have all of these combined, and then they form human despair, which is the most powerful negative emotion, and is basically what will make the Great Cataclysm basically enable it to cover the world with black flames and destroy it, which is the ultimate goal of the White Cat. We later learned why that is. We get live action Sumire in the next episode. Opening it up, which was jarring but cool. Not portrayed by a voice actor though. Was a different actress. I first thought, oh, is that her voice actress? But apparently not.
Yeah, I remember looking it up and being like, strange that they would do it like that. But
yeah, I don't know. Maybe her voice actress didn't really fit the image that they had, or the character design of Sumire from the beginning, and. When they started to, when Okubo started to show, he maybe didn't know that he would do it like that, or maybe the producers of the anime didn't know that would come around. Maybe they would have hired different voice actors so they could do it down the road. But maybe. I assume, that it wasn't possible, so they chose a person that kind of looked similar to the character design of Sumire in the anime. And that makes sense. And it works. It's fun. She is fun. It's a wacky sequence, kind of. Her telling us how she lived in our time, 20XX, and was instrumental in bringing about the first cataclysm, thanks to everyone being an idiot on social media. Yeah, that checks out. But it was just cool, and I think that's also the person where we, at least that, for her, we get a realistic drawing in the manga apparently as well. I don't know who they used as a person in the manga. It was, I think I read somewhere it was supposed to be Okubo's mom he used as a template for that portrait, but I didn't see if that was actually confirmed or it's just a rumor or whatever. So, but yeah, just an interesting stylistic choice again to have just the anime episode open up with live action scene of Sumire and then having the voice actress do the voiceover for that actress. Just cool. Just a cool thing you don't see in anime all the time, and that was just neat to have in there. And like, oh, this is different. This is cool. The doppelgangers of the most powerful fighters like Benny and Kurono appear, and assaults doppelganger 2. And he seems to be immune to Tamaki's porn powers. Whoa.
Oh, no.
So, a doppelganger assault takes out almost everyone easily because he's super strong and everything, and only Tamaki is left. Not even able to use her porn powers. Things seem hopeless, especially when she gets berated by the surrounding mob for being too lewd. And then something amazing happens. She basically gives everyone the middle finger, gets half naked, and fights back with a vengeance. And I feel Okubo was taking a direct jab at the audience here. And that includes me and you, John, I guess, because we also have complained about her character in the past. And he is echoing our complaints through the mob, of course, at least partially. Of course, he isn't really taking any of this seriously. For example, by having a child convey most of the pro-Tamaki arguments to his mom, which is ridiculous. Like, she's pretty and she's well cut and everything. And what did you do, mom? Like, you worked hard to get where you are in your job, and she obviously worked hard too. And so why are you berating her? You're just fighting it a different way. And while I commend Okubo for standing up for one of his creations, my complaint specifically was never about the show being sexy, or Tamaki winning with her sex appeal, or him drawing sexy characters. It was about the sexy humor being cruel and demeaning most of the time.
Yeah.
And Tamaki herself definitely didn't have a good time. That was super evident. And Fire Force didn't feel like a sex-positive show up to this point. Not at all. So this seems a bit like a last-minute, fuck you guys, leave me and my sexy girl alone. She's fighting hard. Like, I don't know, man. You wrote her this way. If you wanted her to be a sexy powerhouse, you could have done that from the start. I feel like Hibana is that to a degree.
Yeah.
Like, she's a very sexy, dominant woman in this show. And Tamaki, I guess, they needed maybe a contrast for her and everything. And they are kind of like, you know, they are kind of opposites in that regard. But, you know, if Okubo wanted to have that character in his show, in the main cast of characters, he could have done that from the start. And I would have stood right beside him, yelling at the people complaining about there being too much sexy stuff in the show to shut the fuck up. I didn't have a problem with the concept, just with the execution. How did you feel about it?
Yeah, it's weird because I'm glad she got a really strong moment here, but at the same time, it's like, brother, this was of your design. Come on, man. So, like, am I glad to see Tamaki kicking some ass and getting to be cool? Yes, but she could have been doing that all along.
And I mean, maybe, don't say that's the way it is, but maybe Okubo had this plan and was like, hey, I'm going to create a sexy world. I put her in a lot of situations where everyone is like, oh my God, this is so embarrassing and blah and blub. And then at the end, I will have her actually use this to win or whatever. I mean, he does that in the third battle against Assault, but I will actually make a statement about that being shown as a perceived negative before. But it really feels more like a reaction to maybe, I didn't follow any reactions to the manga or whatever, but it definitely feels like him reacting to some moms of children complaining because Tamaki, there was too much sexy Tamaki stuff and too much Tamaki losing her clothes all the time in the show, and him being like, no, well, fuck you. You have no leg to stand on, and this is why. And
yeah, I mean, even though this is directed at the audience, it also kind of feels like it's directed at a very
specific,
a very specific part of the audience, and yes, maybe even a part of the audience that's not part of the audience. Because if you're talking about, these parents of these kids who are reading, why would they care if they're not reading it? I don't know, man. I used to work in a grocery store, and this is sort of tangentially related. And, you know, at the front of the grocery store where the checkout lines are, you know, you have magazines and whatnot. And there was one magazine, I don't remember what it was, but it was some lady on the cover wearing a swimsuit. And some woman comes over to me and is like, you can show that here in the store? That's pornography. And I'm just standing there doing my work like, I get paid $9 an hour. Go to complain to a manager.
That's the right approach.
It's like, what?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry you're offended. And I know that's not the right way to approach things. But when someone comes at you like that, it's just like,
yeah,
brother.
So I appreciate the general notion of the scene. I think that the message itself is correct. It's like, hey, be more, open to this. Don't condemn this immediately, or at least don't condemn nudity in general. Don't condemn sexy stuff. Sensuality is a part of human nature. It can be a very positive thing. Of course, it can also be a negative thing. Everything can. But it is not inherently problematic. The problem is how you use it. And I feel
Okubo has been using it in a problematic way. Tamaki was mostly the laughing stock. She was written that way. She was very artificially made into that person. And he always went back to that well over and over and over again, just hampering her own evolution, her own development, and so on. Like, and again, she was a sex-positive character in this and was like running around like Bayonetta, for example, just kicking ass, having her tits out all the time, her ass out all the time. Even if she fought completely nude and just made character like she did again, I guess, and win against Vulcan all the time, that would have been totally fine with me. The problem is she was also the butt of the joke for that for most of the time. And it was a very lazy joke.
Yeah.
And it got repeated over and over again. So that was my problem with that, not with the inherent sexiness. And also it wasn't super sexy because it felt bad. She felt bad.
Yeah, like, I think I said this before. I don't dislike Tamaki, but I think she constantly gets a raw deal, and I feel bad for her because of it.
Yes. So this felt like a weird lashing out by the author. And hey, okay, even though I felt called out partially, I'll give Okubo this. It was satisfying seeing Tamaki finally getting a win again. Even though I wish there was more Sakuga in our final attack. And I definitely agree that sensuality is a positive thing. So it's okay. It's just like, this feels like a child being like, man, why are you attacking my favorite characters? Like, you wrote her that way. Shut the fuck up. It's really like, okay, all right, Okubo, okay. But I guess it's fine. And also it's very fun.
It's okay, dude. You can write whatever you want. You just need to understand the consequences of what you wrote.
Exactly, and you need to be able to tolerate criticism. And like I said, I feel like he's not taking it super seriously. He does nothing in this series. Like, it just feels like, okay, they took a jab at me, at my character. I'm going to take a jab at them. That's fine. I feel like he doesn't really have a leg to stand on here. That's all I'm saying. But it's okay. And it's a very funny episode. It's like there's so much laugh out loud stuff in that. Like, the real Assault appears, who has accepted Eros as a source of power. He fights the doppelganger in a tag team with Tamaki, shoots a giant dick bullet at the guy, a giant throbbing dick bullet. Like, Tamaki gives him a headbutt, a butt, and fireball to the face. Everyone around them commences in a happy orgy. The end. It was incredible. I was laughing the entire way through this fight. Like, hey, this was probably the first time I found the Tamaki stuff funny. Like, good on you, Okubo. You did it, son. You made me laugh with your worst, laziest joke by turning it into something not lazy for once. You did well. So, hey, I guess it's the best takeaway from that.
She got the good ending.
Yes, absolutely. So that was neat. And then we get the big rematch between Arthur and Dragon, which is really cool. Their fight on the moon gave me Sura's Wrath vibes.
I didn't even think of that, but yeah.
Yeah. Like, it definitely could have still looked better if the season 1 or 2 team worked on it, I think. But considering what the first half of the season looked like, of this final season looked like, I would never have expected to be this confrontation as appropriately epic as it was. It was great, and it ends on, like, had me like, oh god, because at the end of this, Arthur is just a torso, basically, with only one arm. It's like, well, I guess he's dead, but he can't be dead. He's my king. What's happening? So I was really, really sad there for a moment. I really thought Okubo would kill him off. It was nice though, like the way what he achieved and everything, and by showing Dragon hope by besting him after an eternal life of unworthy opponents and boredom, Arthur extinguishes one of the main sources of despair, so most of the flames for a while. So that is cool. And we have Kurno's fight against the doppelganger, which is fun as well. Like, it's another instance of Okubo taking either a jab at the audience or his own writing in this case, because the doppelganger is a generic anime psycho that, according to the real one, only a third-rate writer would have come up with. It's like, oh, okay. And he is shocked that people perceive him as such. Like, I didn't feel called out by that one because in our review of season 2, we already stated that he is not your usual psychopath. He is a special brand. So I agree with Okubo on that one.
Kurono is a special breed. I only want to fight people weaker than myself. Bro, you're a bully. That's what we call a bully.
Yes, but he's so open about that, and that's usually not what these kind of villains are, right? They're like, I only fight the strongest enemies or whatever. He just comes out and say, no, I hate strong enemies. There's so much work. They're so troublesome. I just want to bully the weak. It's like, okay.
Say, all right, dude.
Very fun about his character. He's an asshole, but at least he's honest about it. So that was, I don't know, that was just fun having this conflict with your usual laughing maniacally anime villain. And he's like, I'm nothing like that. What the? People think I'm like that? What the hell? No.
One thing I love is that I just love that Takahiro Sakurai just plays him so deadpan across the board. And it's like, yeah, that's probably about the way you should be acting.
Yeah, that's true. We have Benimaru's battle against his doppelganger, which is amazing because it gets wrapped up very quickly.
Yeah.
Because apparently Benny is even stronger than all of humanity thinks he is. Mm-hmm. So he just overpowers his doppelganger easily with a single strike. That's honestly hilarious, especially him yelling at all his fans. Oi, why was that guy so weak? Do I look that weak to you? It's just amazing.
You don't know how strong I actually am.
I loved it. But yeah, then Joker, we have Joker next, who gets saved from his own doppelganger by Burns, who apparently didn't die, but overpowered his own doppelganger, because of course he would.
Yeah, I mean, that tracks for Burns.
That was the least surprising thing. So of course he's still alive. Like, we only saw him, this doppelganger, dragging him to $1, and when thinking about it, I was like, of course, yeah, the first thing he would do was just kill the guy. It was just kill his doppelganger easily, handily, or, after his body is taken over, just taking over the doppelganger's mind or whatever. So that makes sense. We get a big reveal that gets dropped on us kind of nonchalantly, which is the fact that Iris is Amaterasu's doppelganger.
Yeah.
I mean, that was teased before. Like, we had glimpses of her having visions and stuff like that of Amaterasu, and they do look kind of similar and everything. But still, I feel this reveal should have been a bigger deal. Maybe it was in the manga. Maybe it was a chapter ended there or whatever. But yeah, it was so cool. There's like, oh, okay. I didn't think. Maybe there was even more to that. Like, there was more ways to elaborate on that and see a bit more flashback to Iris' youth in that regard. But I guess not. Maybe it was not that part was not as relevant. Fairy, one of the White Clad that was introduced last in the previous season, like the Guardian of Show, tries to drop the moon on the Earth and kills himself, so there's nobody to stop it. But Shinra appears and just kicks it so hard that it doesn't fall anymore, even though it's already in Earth's atmosphere. Okay.
That's not how physics works, but okay, sure.
I mean, perceived world and everything, and reality is not being applied anymore anyway. So I guess it's fine. But yeah, Fairy really got like the most bitch ass ending.
Like, he tries to be all evil and villainous and mwahaha, I'm wringing my hands together, and he just, what a bitch.
Yeah, kind of does nothing. But yeah, I think Sho pretty much says something along those lines, right? When he sees him lying in the bloody mess on the floor or whatever. Like, what a pitiful existence or something like that.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I don't remember exactly, but
yeah, something along the lines. But yeah, he and Sho travel to Adola, like Shinra and Sho travel to Adola to stop Haumea, which we now learn the final truth about. She was originally a saint. She kills Inca and Sumire and takes their power. We get the image that Inca foresaw how she would die the first time she was introduced in the show in the second season. That was pretty haunting. Kind of a weird low-key ending for both these characters, though. Especially Sumire, considering she was one of the main puppet masters behind the scenes. So it's like, okay, now Haumea just kills both of them. And I was like, oh, okay. Okay. I expected just them to be more part of a final action confrontation in Adola. So I don't know if that was maybe even more in the manga, maybe was in the manga and they took it out to quicken the pace or whatever. But yeah, I was a bit surprised that they just get taken out by Haumea that easily. Willingly, though, right? It's not like they try to resist, really.
Yeah, I mean, they just sort of give themselves over to Haumea. So I get maybe not so much Inca, but maybe that was part of Sumire's plan. It's not really explicitly stated.
I mean, she just wants to create the next cataclysm and then, I guess, have the world end, and finally, because that was the plan. It was apparently not her plan for the humanity to be reborn in the next world or whatever, or for people to survive. So this is her end goal anyway. And yeah, Haumea is the embodiment of the collective human unconsciousness. So in essence, they're combined wishes, which she interprets as a desire for the extinction that lies at the end of human evolution. She is the actual evangelist that the show has been talking about from the beginning. And in this form, she can be considered a god. Like, she says gods did not give birth to humans. Humans gave birth to gods out of despair, and thus gods brought about more despair. And if you look at the history of a lot of religions, that perspective checks out. So I feel like that's not too far-fetched. And yeah. Showa and Shinra can't even touch Haumea at this point, and it looks like she killed Amaterasu and Iris as well. And that, like Iris' death and Obi getting his throat cut by his doppelganger, lets Shinra spiral into a fit of rage and despair, which ostensibly completes the cataclysm and has the whole world be consumed by black Adola flames, including everyone we know. So, yeah, things are getting super dire. So what do you need at this point? You need a goddamn superstar, a savior.
You need a hero.
You need a hero, a king, because we see Arthur's torso in space at the end of the episode, and it ends with his hand grabbing the hilt of his sword, and I'm fucking screaming, John. I'm like, oh my god!
When they cut back to that, I was like, what do you mean?
Yeah, and the next episode starts with Shinra being consumed by rage and ready to kill Haumea, and then getting a smack on the head by Arthur, who apparently reconstructed himself. And I'm standing on my couch yelling, fuck yeah, because that was amazing. Like, Arthur's frenemy relationship with Shinra gets Shinra out of his funk and reminds him that he is supposed to be the hero. Also, Arthur's Excalibur turned into the Excalibur from Soul Eater because the sword calls him an idiot. Because that's what Excalibur would say to everyone in that show, like Baga, and everyone hated his personality. But the funniest thing is, for Arthur, that insult actually applies in the best possible way, because he doesn't care if he is called that. Like, his delusions are too strong. And pretty sure that Excalibur also was the one who restored his body. Not sure if he could already do that in Soul Eater for his wielders, but it would make sense. So, yeah, amazing. And a hero doesn't abandon hope. So Sho and Shinra finally get a hug from their mom, which turns out to be the doppelganger of the saint, so of Haumea, and thus the embodiment of hope. And Shinra, Sho, and their mom do a soul resonance, another Soul Eater reference, and fuse into Shinra's ultimate form, Shinra Bansho, everything, everywhere, all at once.
I was thinking that when I was watching. I was like,
And yeah, Shinra uses the energy the Saint unleashes at him to create a new world and brings back all the souls of the people who died, brings them back to life. The Saint pleads with him that this will just create a new cycle of despair all over again, and to please let it all end here and now. But even though wavering for a short while there, the memory of his friends lets Shinra stay true to his convictions that a hero needs to give people hope, and he is not that half-assed to go back on that statement. And also Arthur would get mad at him. So, yeah. that's what he does. He creates basically a new world. Everyone looks even more like a cartoon character, probably because they're in Soul Eater's world now. Because that's what this is. If you've watched that show, you recognize the town. You got the sun, you got the moon. Shinra made in this world death less important, which will lessen the despair of people. At least that's his assumption. The despair Homea accumulated is still around and sent to sleep by Shinra, and it will return in Soul Eater in the form of a particular character, I can tell you that. Everything gets to be a little cartoonier, a little more lighthearted, a little more goofy, and a little less affected by death. But since this is a world where death is still omnipotent, even though not as scary anymore, it has to become kind of a god itself. And that's exactly what Shinra creates. He is the creator of death, or Shinigami, somehow from Soul Eater. Which blew my fucking mind, I gotta say. I'm pretty sure you haven't watched that show, right, John?
I think I watched maybe a couple episodes of it, but not enough to be like, oh, yeah, this is that and that is this.
I had so many fucking, like, oh my god, deja vu when I watched these final couple of episodes, because like the hints that this would turn into a prequel to Soul Eater, like accumulated more and more. It's like, wait, is he actually doing that? I mean, we were thinking about this before, and it was like, at least once at the end of, I think, season 2, it was when we first saw the moon. And it's like, wait, what is happening? Oh, and also Maka's dad, Maka is the main character from Soul Eater. Her dad, Death Scythe, also appeared in a scene. And at that moment, I was like, okay, this is probably just a cute reference. Just, he's not really in this universe. It's just like, here, for people who watch Soul Eater, here's a neat thing. No. There's an actual thing happening here. Yes, Okubo actually turned this show, and I don't know if he intended to do that from the beginning, but that's what it turned into. Fire Force is the prequel to Soul Eater. So technically, that's what you can do after finishing the show. You can just go and read the Soul Eater manga. I mean, you could also watch the Bones adaptation, because that's really well animated, but also that takes some liberties. It does not adapt the entire manga. But well, who knows? And we'll get to that, but yeah, Iris and Inka get revived. Amaterasu says that Iris is not her doppelganger. She's the version Amaterasu wanted to become. That was nice. Everyone loses their fire powers, apparently, but people with strong souls gain superpowers after a while. Well, that figures. Inka roams the world as a witch because she wants to pressure Shinra to have a child with her. Okay. The child of a hero that will connect her to the next generation. I guess that makes sense. And judging by the flash forward to 25 years in the epilogue, she got her wish, and Arthur had a kid too, and they are both joining the fire company. And the show ends on scenes showing baby versions of our three main characters from Soul Eater: Death the Kid, Black Star, and Maka. And with the sentence, "Next is Soul World." So, will we get a new adaptation of Soul Eater next by David Production? That would be cool.
That'd be cool, because like I said, I never watched the original, so I'd watch something new.
Yeah, I mean, it won't look better than the Bones version. No way. But maybe they'll cover the whole manga this time. It would make sense. I was feeling like a new adaptation of Soul Eater is overdue. And if Fire Force was successful enough, I don't see why this wouldn't happen now. Because, hey, now you got the basis for people who didn't watch or didn't read Soul Eater, and you can directly go into that. And, you know, that's how the show ends. It's like, hey, this is next. Soul Eater's next. Soul World is next. And I don't see any real trouble of doing that. Like, I wonder if they'll announce it this year or next year. I wouldn't be surprised if they did so. In fact, I would be overjoyed. I thought this would be really cool. Of course, I would always have to compare. And there's some really awesome fights in Soul Eater, and I wonder how the David Production version would stack up to that. I would hope at that point that we would get the season 1 and 2 crew from Fire Force back.
I mean, they kind of have their hands full with Steel Ball Run right now, so...
That's the problems. So maybe they'll do it after Steel Ball Run, we'll see. But yeah, for the most part, loved the second part of this final season. I'm so glad that after the crappy first half, the show found its footing again. John, how about you?
Yeah, they really nailed it with this ending, and a lot of the production work was a lot more solid. And even if some of the author commentary was a little strange, questionable, confusing, I think they still brought it together really well with this.
Yeah. I mean, of course, it could have always been better, but I don't know how much, if they cut anything out from the manga to make it work for the amount of episodes they still had left, or if that is all there was in the manga. I felt like they could have done a bit more with Iris. I feel like they could have done a bit more with Amaterasu, like their background and everything. That was revealed and dropped pretty quickly. Like... In general, Iris is after her flashback to her years in the orphanage and so on, and the reveal with Sumire. Outside of that, I don't think she was even part of that. That was Hibana. So she was pretty underused, considering how important the show made her out to be at certain points. But you know, It was pretty neat. Like, my favorite character, Arthur, got so much screen time in this and had a very important role to play. Shinra's development was cool. I like that he got back together with Sho again. They fought as brothers, and the stuff with their mom at the end was really nice, and all the additional flashbacks to Dad and to their youth. So I feel like the show strikes like a good balance of keeping up the quick pace, but also not letting our important characters get enough screen time and enough additional background to make the emotional scenes work. So that was pretty neat. Would have looked better if the entire team from season 1 and 2 had worked on it, probably, but I'm still really happy with what we got, since the story wrapped up in a really satisfying way. And even though I was wondering if this could turn into a Soul Eater prequel at some point, I'm still delighted that actually happened. Like, the final song they play in the show is actually the third Soul Eater ED. Oh. How about that? That's dedication to detail.
I didn't realize.
Yes. So that's really neat. I would have expected them to play the first OP, but since we already got an opening by TM Revolution, I thought they maybe thought that would be overkill. But hey, it was nice that they threw that ending ED in there and was like, hey, yeah, this is next. And if you want, you can watch the Bones version. You will see that ED in there, but I assume we're gonna get another version down the road. I just have to stay strong and maybe wait for the adaptation, because I might also read the Soul Eater manga instead. I don't know, because I kind of want to get into that now. So hey, and I still cannot believe that Arthur was the one who created Soul Eater's version of Excalibur. That is so fucking ingenious. I am in awe. That's amazing. It fits so perfectly. But yeah,
your boy did it.
Our boy did it. Our king did it. I definitely recommend everyone who likes cool show and action stuff to watch this. John, where can people watch this?
You can watch this on Crunchyroll, Hulu, possibly on Netflix, depending on where you live. But you can watch it, enjoy it. It's a good show. It had a good ending. Check it out.
Yeah, it's definitely a bit off kilter, and the first half of the third season is a somewhat big hump to get over. But season 1, 2, and the second half of the third season are great, and it's definitely now cemented as one of my favorites in that genre. Check it out. Maybe it will become one of yours too.
Golden Kamuy.
It's back.
It's the final season, asterisk.
The penultimate season, as we learn at the end of this one.
Yeah, not clear if it's the ending is going to be a full season or maybe like an OVA or a movie, because we're kind of jumping the gun saying this, but this season doesn't actually finish the story, but there's maybe like 14 or 15 chapters left over. And
it's probably a special, like with Attack on Titan or something.
Yeah, I don't see it being another full 13 episodes. I feel like if they stretch, unless the last few chapters are very dense, I don't see them doing it. And they also called this the final season. So then again, they call Attack on Titan the final season like 5 times.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same kind of thing. It's like, final season. Oh no, we have another arc after this.
But at least we know where we stand relative to the end, and that they'll probably finish it relatively quickly because they're like, hey, it's coming next winter. Cool. We have a timeline of events then.
We don't have to wait too long.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's neat.
Like that was back in March. It's already June.
Mm-hmm. Don't remind me.
Wait, hold on. It's 6/7.
Oh, God.
I'm going to jump off a cliff now. Everyone can throw all the tomatoes at me because I have to hear that joke all the time. So I get to make it once. I don't even get it. No one gets it. That's the problem.
Okay.
Anyway, so we just kind of jump right back into things where Sugimoto and company have gone to Sapporo in pursuit of one of the escaped prisoners and their tattoos. And they run across a guy who may or may not be Jack the Ripper.
Mm-hmm. Yes, still on the hunt for that guy because he's one of the last remaining convicts with the tattoo on his body that leads to a partial that is a partial map of the way to the treasure, to the gold, ostensibly.
Yeah, pretty much. And it's there's a lot of things going on, and there's a big collision of all these of like Sugimoto and company and Tsurumi and the Seventh, and it's everything is coming to a head very quickly. So they, like I said, they sort of think that this guy is trying to recreate the murders of Jack the Ripper because this guy is like a serial murderer of prostitutes. Mm-hmm. And they sort of determine that the next murder may be at or around the beer factory in Sapporo. And they split into different groups to try and ambush him. And this is when they start running into Tsurumi and company, because when Kadokura comes into contact with Usami, it's not a good time. It's not a good time.
Yes, he recognizes him. I mean, first of all, we have kind of a realignment, like a switch of allegiances again. Like, because, you know, when Hijikata's crew runs into Asirpa slash Sugimoto's crew, Sugimoto and Hijikata are close to killing each other almost very quickly, but they realize that, or let's say, Hijikata's vision of a country like the Ezo Republic, harboring people of multicultural ethnicities and letting the Ainu be the bridge for the different people, somewhat aligns with what Asirpa wants for her people. Also, she wants to keep the gold out of the hands of Tsurumi at all costs. So that's why they forge an alliance with Hijikata. And then decide to go together after Jack the Ripper, who, like you said, I mean, he turns out to be I mean, we don't know if that's his real name. What was his? Michael Oz something? Oh God.
Yeah, I don't remember. But it's weird because there's sort of this implication, you know, I guess in real life, Jack the Ripper was never actually caught. So the implication is this the actual Jack the Ripper and not a copycat? Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, the show says as much. Like, that's their statement. That is its statement, right? Like, that was the real Ripper. he fled England and then ended up in prison. And now, after, I don't know, now he's much older, but he's trying to recreate the murders and that's why he murders them, the women, the prostitutes at certain parts in Sapporo, because if you place the map of London, to be specific, Whitechapel, over Sapporo, the makeup of the towns are pretty similar.
What a happy coincidence.
What a happy coincidence, yeah. And so from that they can assume or can deduct that the murder is probably going to happen next to the beer factory, because that's where the church was, where at least one or several of the murders in the original Jack the Ripper's case happened. So that's how they end up there. And I don't even know why Tsurumi's gang, is there, if they're just if they're also hunting for Jack the Ripper, or if they're looking for Hijikata's crew or whatever.
I think it was a little bit of both. And then when they crossed paths, the powder keg quite literally explodes.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, first we have the clash between, like I said, Sugimoto's group and Hijikata. And I love the detail that when Sugimoto judo drops Ushiyama through the floor, he directly lands on the spoon Sugimoto dropped earlier.
Yeah.
He just gets up from the ground, has the spoon sticking out. It's just, Golden Kamuy is good at these small little details that are so incredibly funny. We also have another character who's also on the sidelines here, Ueji, who's also one of the remaining prisoners who also got introduced in the last season, who's like this weird clown characters with a bunch of tattoos all over his face.
Yeah, and he is like kind of sadistic. He revels in hyping people's expectations up and then watching them crash into the ground. It's like, what? He's a weird dude.
Yeah, he's a trickster who fucks with people. Like, he has daddy issues and wants to kill the boy that was a disappointment to his father over and over again. So he kills little boys and and buries them to kill a version of himself and bury that version over and over again. It's really fucked up.
Yeah.
And it kind of aligns with the Stephen King's It reference we had in the previous season where he was introduced, because that Pennywise also kills children and stuff like that. So and he's also a clown, so that works. It was fun, quote unquote.
I mean, a little less supernatural than Pennywise, I guess.
Yes, of course. And very different ending. Much funnier in a way.
And a little less Tim Curry.
Yeah. Or Bill Skarsgård. But anyway, so, yeah. Before they have the clash with the 7th Division, Sugimoto learns that Ogata is still here, or is here, who almost takes a shot at Asirpa, but he notices someone standing behind him. I guess he's visited by the ghosts of maybe his brother or someone else on occasion, and since only one of his eyes works anymore, he has like this weird, like his mind doing weird tricks on him. That's what kind of saves maybe Asirpa in the moment, though he has always had a different plan for her. Kind of, right? Like, he wants to corrupt her, he wants to put her down to a level. Maybe he has given up on that, that's not clear yet. Maybe he wants to just ruin life for Sugimoto, I don't know. But, doesn't matter, he doesn't take the shot at her. So, there's that. And we see a really interesting bit we see is Asirpa, like, really delegating and everything, making plans, like coordinating people. Like, she has really come into her own at this point and has become quite the leader, which doesn't go unnoticed by several people of Hijikata's group, him included, which was pretty cool, especially when there's some reveals later on in regards to Hijikata's role in all of this, and his involvement with the Ainu and stuff like that, and Asirpa's father. So that was pretty neat. But yeah, Tsurumi mixed in some real skins with the fake ones he let get stolen from him to confuse the other groups. Like even Asirpa stumped in regard to how to tell all the fakes from the real ones. Like he's just a crafty jackass.
He is devious, as we see many times.
He's such a good villain. He's so good. Like he's one of the best anime villains of all time. And even more so because you can never quite make out in this season how much of what he's telling people is the truth. Like if he even what he believes in, what he actually wants, what he wants the gold for, is he doing it for his comrades? Is he mainly doing it out of revenge? And the show just plays with that all the time and keeps you guessing and keeps the characters in the show guessing, and it's so cool. It's so cool that he's such a question mark for most of the runtime of this show. And so menacing at the time, though. That's really neat.
Oh man, this whole season, he's so cold and calculating, like even more so than we had seen previously. He's just like, you can tell he's like, I've got something cooked up for pretty much any eventuality. Like he's always thinking. He's nuts, man.
Yeah. But yeah, like so the forces kind of converge at the beer factory. Like we learned a bit more about Botaro, who wants to be a king and have a huge family, so his name gets passed down through the generations because his family died.
He wants to be king of the pirates.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty much. Never thought about that actually. But that's neat that we learned. He was introduced at the tail end of the previous season, so it was nice to learn a bit more about him and his tragic background. Sugimoto is afraid since Ogata cannot be part of any group. Now he's gonna just try to kill Asirpa, which lines up with how he almost took a shot at her. Because Asirpa is the only one who knows the code to decipher the map of the gold. He might just try to kill her to fuck with everyone, which also would make sense.
Mm-hmm.
And he, that's what Sugimoto thinks Ogata wants to do, and that's the reason why he wants to do it, to ruin the gold hunt for everyone and dash everyone's goals. But Asirpa, I think, rightfully assesses that Ogata has a slightly different motive. And I wonder what it eventually will be, because at the end of the season, Ogata is still around. We don't know yet what his ultimate power play will be. So yeah, that's gonna be interesting. I can see it go either way, but I still have an assumption that Asirpa has the right guess here, because she had that experience with him in the third season. She knows that he is kind of out for something else. He wants gratification by having a truly good person stoop to his level. And throughout the entire season, Asirpa's always at risk of becoming a murderer, even maybe to justified reasons, just because she has to escape and a soldier grabs her leg or something. And thankfully, Sugimoto is always there to save her, quote unquote, from doing that by either killing the person himself or just taking her out of that situation. But if he is not around when Ogata has her dead in his aim, and the only way to win is for her to kill him, he might win. Like he might get his wish, and he would probably die happy when that happens. So we'll see. But yeah, it is assumed that Michael Ostrock, that was his name.
Yeah,
is the real Jack the Ripper. And they're trying to lure him in by having a lot of, or some of the people in Hijikata's group dress up as women and pretending to be hookers. And Ushiyama, noting that Kadokura's disguise makes him look exactly like the last prostitute he fucked, made me do a spit take.
God,
Ushiyama's always reliable when it comes to making just these random statements that just fucking kill you. He's amazing. So there was this reporter that's also kind of part of Hijikata's group, Ishikawa. I don't know, was he introduced in the previous season? He felt so new to me. I was like, did we have this guy before?
No, I think he showed up this season. But I mean, initially.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense because he felt new to me. So he was also one of the people going after the hints in regards to Jack the Ripper, trying to figure out the location where he would strike next. and he gets cornered by Usami, and gets it looks like he's hiding the truth that he figured out about the location from Usami, and is able to do so when he later reunites with Hijikata's group. But apparently he tears up the paper where he drew the location on, or wrote the location on. But either Usami beat it out of him after all, or he picked up the paper and glued it back together or whatever. But because Usami is there, and he figured he's trying to go after Jack the Ripper too, and he's talking to Kadokura and recognizes him and says, "Warren Kadokura? And you became a male prostitute? What a downfall."
God.
But yeah, then a signal gets lit prematurely and everything goes sideways very quickly. And then when the 7th Division arrives and we have everyone clash, and like big tense action blowout happens. So yeah, that's or the first big action blowout of the season. It was pretty cool. Ushiyama throws Usami at Koito, and Usami rotates so fast that he makes propeller noises, which was incredible. Nikaido still has a hate boner for Sugimoto. Of course he would, because I guess I don't even remember if Sugimoto really did kill his twin brother, or if he just died in the war that Sugimoto was fighting in, and he holds him responsible for some reason. It's been so long.
Yeah, I don't recall Sugimoto being directly responsible, but Nikaido is.
He holds him responsible for some reason. I don't know why, but
I feel like he's one of the biggest weirdos of
absolutely,
the cast.
He is hyper crazy. Yes, he's insane.
Like, I mean, Ogata is crazy. Nikaido is like turbo crazy.
Absolutely. Anyway, everyone gets doused in beer and becomes drunk, naturally, as would happen in this show. We have the start of the sniper duel or reduel between Ogata and Vasily. That happens kind of parallel to this, where they try to gauging each other's position, and that kind of continues later to a different location and so on. Kikuta, who we learn, who is part of Tsurumi's division, but we learned is a government spy at the tail end of the previous season. Tries to convince our Sirpa to follow him to learn who really killed the 7 Ainu. She thankfully doesn't fall for it. And we have Usami, who catches Kadokura and can get one of the skins from him. And when pulling up his shirt, he sees something that confuses him, and then Ogata interferes. So we have a lot of different people suddenly interacting with other people. This is one of the typical Golden Kamuy action things where just a bunch of different things happen very quickly, one after another, and you are at the edge of your seat the entire time because you don't know what waits around the next corner, and it's just so much stuff happening very quickly and very cool. That happens in this fight as well. There's just a lot of back and forth, and that was really neat. Like, I feel like Golden Kamuy is just really good at that. Just keeping you guessing, keeping you on their toes, and never, always expect the unexpected, and then still something happens that you could in no way account for, that you could never expect, and it's great. So, yeah, this is what happens, and I think all of that kind of culminates in Asirpa almost having to kill Jack the Ripper to defend herself, which is what I talked about earlier, one of the situations where she almost has to kill, but Sugimoto gets there just in time to disembowel Jack, strangle him with his own intestines, drag his face across an entire wall, and then kick him out a window where Ushiyama stomps his skull to mush.
It was so brutal.
Yeah.
I remember watching and just being like, Jesus.
Yeah, I was like, oh my god, the show has a grudge against this guy. I mean, for Ushiyama, it makes absolute sense. Big fan of prostitutes, thus understandably not a big fan of prostitute killers.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was pretty awesome. Just this constant barrage. Like, he just getting dismembered in several ways, and then just his skull crushed, smashed in. It was pretty heavy metal. So yeah, that's how he ends, and they get his skin. And technically now 2 Tattooed skins are left to procure. Though we later learn maybe not really. Usami beats the shit out of Ogata, but his hubris is his undoing as he dares Ogata to load his rifle and shoot him faster than Usami can stab him, which is exactly what Ogata does without hesitation, of course. Usami, you fucking fool. Why would you do that?
Stupid idiot.
Yes, absolutely. He tries to escape on horseback, but gets a second fatal shot through the chest, but with like just one of the most awesome sniper shots ever, like through a double open church window or whatever, or tower window, where even close next to Sugimoto, who apparently doesn't notice that shot went past him. And Usami gets killed and shot down the horse. It's crazy. Like, Usami lands in the arms of his beloved commander Tsurumi, tells him about the skin and Kadokura and something else. Tsurumi bites off a piece of Usami's finger and I think swallows it, maybe? Whispering to Usami that they'll now be together forever and that Usami will always be his number one. Which makes Usami, and I quote, so happy that he could come.
Jesus.
I'm surprised that Tsurumi actually did that. I mean, if this was one of his manipulations, he didn't have to keep up the charade just to make Usami happy, but he did.
Yeah.
I might have underestimated him. His devotion to his soldiers might be real after all.
I don't know if we underestimated him or misunderstood him, because he makes some weird moves this season. Like, I mean, he does that and it's like, blah, 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 you're with me forever. But then there's other things that he does. It's like, what are you really all about, man?
Yes, and I love that. I mean, maybe in this case, he didn't drop his mask because other soldiers were around. He wanted to keep up the charade of him being dedicated to his comrades and everything. Or he wanted Usami to stay dedicated to him even in death, because that's what his ego demands or whatever, who knows. Because he's proud that he's such a good manipulator. That could also be the case. But that's a cool thing. He's such an ambiguous character, you never really know what is actually going on in his head, truly. You can make guesses, and there are some scenes that confirm a couple of things that, you know that are important to him and that he wants to do. But there are other scenes, especially every time you don't see into his mind, but where he's just talking, and especially talking to other people, you can never be sure that he's telling the full truth. So that's cool. It's just neat. It makes him a really, really charismatic and enigmatic villain. It's just awesome. A somewhat less epic death than the one prepared for Usami immediately comes for one of the last remaining convicts. Uiji climbs a chimney to drop himself into it so nobody gets the map tattooed on his skin. Nobody gives him the gratification of a disappointed face, though, as they all have figured out at this point that you can crack the code without having access to all 24 skins. That was just amazing. Everyone turning their head. Awesome. And of course, Uiji throws a fit, slips, falls off the chimney. While falling in a reflection of a window, he sees his own disappointed face because he couldn't make the others disappointed, and laughs at it right before he decapitates himself on a wall. That's
poetic.
Very poetic ending, yes. But also a bitch ending. Anyway, so Kadokura apparently has the 24th final tattoo on his back, which is why Usami was surprised when he pulled off his shirt or whatever. And Kikuta and Ogata pass each other without killing each other. Which, at this point, I was pretty surprised by, okay, what is going on here?
Well, I mean, Ogata has no alliance at this point, so...
Yes, but even more so that you would assume that either Kikuta would try to kill him or he would try Kikuta. At this point, they would try to kill each other, but they just basically look at each other, acknowledging each other, and then moving past each other. And I was like, what is going on here? And we get filled in on that later. But, yeah. The building burns, the beer factory burns. There's still a couple of characters in there. Karakura, Sugimoto, Aserpa, they're still inside. They are trying to find a way out. Botaro goes into the building pretending to save Sugimoto, Aserpa, and Karakura, but he instead abducts Aserpa and takes the copies of the skins Karakura had with him. Yeah, I mean, we have learned about his motives. Botaro's whole family died of smallpox, which explains why he wants to have such a big family. Not all of them die, and the gold is his way of achieving that for him. Like having also his own country, right? And then having like this giant family.
And that's tragic and all, but, you know, he's also not the greatest guy in the world.
No. I mean, he comes through, and we get to that, but... that was definitely one of those moments where it's like, no, I'm still after my own thing. I still have my own goals and my own schemes that I'm doing, working on in the background. He gets intercepted by Koito in Tsukushima, almost drowns Koito, but instead of dragging Aserpa directly to Tsurumi, Tsukushima decides to rescue Koito instead, because they have kind of formed a pretty strong bond at this point, even though Koito berates him for it, because, you know, he's just dedicated to Tsurumi. At least at this moment. Nikaido gets Aserpa, though, and Koito drops his accent for a bit when reporting to Tsurumi, which makes Tsukushima assume he lost faith in Tsurumi, which I don't quite understand. But apparently it's like a symbol for that. That was a bit weird.
Yeah, that was... but I guess presenting himself a certain way to... Tsurumi was
part of the whole devotion thing. Yeah,
it has to be. But
yeah, I first thought he said something Tsurumi wasn't supposed to know, right? About there being someone in the building that Koito couldn't know about for some reason or whatever, without having without doing some additional research behind Tsurumi's back or whatever. But apparently, it was about the accent. I didn't quite get that. Must have had to do something with his upbringing or whatever. And maybe there was something in the earlier seasons where he got rid of the accent to humor Tsurumi or whatever to fit better into his regiment. And that could have been the case. But I don't remember it. So, yeah. Thanks to being the luckiest fucker on the planet, Karakura is able to escape the burning building as well. Which was just amazing. The way he just lands on the fucking mattress.
You can only have so much luck. What's going on, brother?
It's just cool. I mean, he was one of my favorite characters from the previous season. Like him and Kira was as a tag team, Sherlock Holmes duo or whatever. I already said in the previous season that I want a spin-off of just them investigating stuff.
Yeah.
Because they're amazing. And, you know, Karakura is just so much fun. The asshole peeker. But yeah, so... Botaro fighting with his long hair is also pretty cool, which he does more in this season in the fights. And Sugimoto is so angry at him for kidnapping Aserpa that he almost shoots him, even though Botaro had already surrendered. But she wisely interferes. That was a very intense moment because it shows how fucking important Aserpa is to Sugimoto. Which is always neat to see in between. I mean, you can always guess that because he's always there, he's always by her side, and he rescues her from turning into a different person and stuff like that. But basically not turning into him. That's what the one thing he doesn't want for her. So, and he is in this hunt for her at this point. He says as much, pretty much at the end of the show again. He's like, he's not doing this for himself. He had his old goal in the beginning to get his hands on the gold. But at this point, he's just doing all of this for Aserpa. So it makes sense that he is just so fucking angry at everyone who would hurt her in any way possible. Because he loves her. So that makes absolute sense. Sugimoto, Botaro, and Shiraishi go after the 7th Division in a beer mobile.
Nobody quite knows how to drive it.
with a very obscure reference being made. Botaro says he can drive it because he made the acquaintance of an American guy called Eddie. And I was like, who is that? And I looked it up. That's a reference to Edwin Dunn, who was an American zoo technician who was hired by the Japanese government during the Meiji era as a foreign advisor. He played a massive historical role in the development of Hokkaido by introducing modern large-scale American ranching, dairy farming, and livestock breeding techniques to the region.
Oh.
And apparently he also had automobiles, I guess, brought them over from America. I don't know. So I guess that's the guy.
All right.
I mean, we've had weird references in the show before. Some of them I could recognize. A lot of them probably went over my head. But this one I wanted to look up because, like, who is he talking about? Who is this Eddie guy? So that was interesting. And yeah, then Botaro saves Shiraishi from getting shot at the cost of his own life. He asks Shiraishi to tell his future kids that they are alive because of Botaro the pirate, aka Fusataro Osawa. He also tells Shiraishi about the secret place where the Ainu gathered the gold for the first time, which is very integral information, and then he dies. So, yeah. Kind of interesting, cool character, not that much screen time because he was only introduced at the end of the previous season and then, gets killed before the halfway point of this one. But still cool character, definitely. I mean, are there non-cool characters in Golden Kamuy? Each of them are kind of cool in their own way, and if it's only because they're so weird and shitty. But, there's all of them are so colorful, are so interesting and funny and fun and stupid and scary, and I don't know. So it's just Golden Kamuy is a standout show in regards to characters.
Yeah,
and story.
It really is. There's so many characters. It's crazy. It is crazy the amount of things this plot juggles, and it still holds together relatively well.
Yes. The only thing I noticed is I think this is probably one of those shows where you really benefit from, once it's done, just going through it from beginning to end in one go. Because there's in this season specifically, there is so many callbacks to earlier seasons, and really like 1 or 2 second callbacks. So if you haven't watched these seasons in a while, you're wondering, oh right, what was that again? What did happen there? Right? And you can guess, but I think rewatching this at some point or watching this for the first time all the way through would really make you benefit in regards to keeping track of all the characters, all the different side quests and so on, all the different little developments and locations and so on. And yeah, I think the season breaks are a bit to the detriment of the show's giant character cast and the location hopping.
Yeah, I mean, maybe at some point down the line when there's less to watch, I might just sit down and rewatch the whole thing all over again just to have it all at once.
Yeah, I wonder if they polished up some of the animation for the Blu-rays and stuff like that. So it would be maybe a good reason to get the hands on those. I gotta imagine, yes. But if you want to get the U.S. release of the first season of the show, you can't. It's like it doesn't exist anymore. Because I was looking up. I was like, oh, I want to buy this. I was like, well, where can I buy it? Okay, apparently fucking nowhere. And it's like, well, ugh. I mean, at some point, there could be a full series release, right, when it's done. Or there could also be a reissue by, I don't know, maybe Discotheque or someone else.
That'd be nice.
So, yeah. So I don't think that's out of the question. I think that could still be a thing that happens. So, yeah. Holding out hope. I mean, there are other ways to procure this if it's out of print, but still, it would be nice to have this on the shelf and, rewatch it at some point. But yeah, this season is not over at this point. Shiraishi says that in the end, all that talk about becoming king from Botaro was bullshit, and ultimately he just wanted to get back the family and homeland he lost, which I think is accurate. And puts like nice bullet point, puts a nice like exclamation point on his character, and also that Shiraishi is able to figure something like that out is it's nice to see that because he's always portrayed as like one of the biggest idiots in the cast. But it's always nice to get like this glimpse. Oh, there's more to this character than, more than meets the eye.
Mm-hmm.
So I really liked it. And I mean, Shiraishi is one of my favorite characters in this show. So
he's pretty great.
Yeah, he's fantastic. We have a surprise appearance by Sophia and her gang, which I think we haven't seen since the end of season 3. They try to save Usurper but fail. Sugimoto and Kikuta recognize each other at this point. We get later learn why that is the case. Also pretty interesting. Sugimoto and Shiraishi have not quite figured out driving an automobile yet. Oh man, the visual humor in this show when it just goes straight fucking horizontal through the window. It's amazing every time they crash, and they crash so many times. It's fun. It's really fun.
They lost the one person who could drive.
But yeah, they at some point find out where Tsurumi is hiding a Usurper. But even though Sugimoto wants nothing more than to storm their hideout right now, he does the smart thing and decides to get back up, which is really, sensible.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, Tsurumi has kidnapped a Usurper and Sophia and has a sit down with them in, I don't even know what that is. Is that a chapel?
I'm pretty sure it's a church.
A church, yes. We get to revisit the stuff that we learned in season 3 that Tsurumi helped Sophia and Wilk back in Vladivostok. But because his wife recognized Wilk on a wanted poster, she brought it back to Tsurumi, and she and his daughter got caught in the crossfire in the conflict with the secret police, and they died. And at this point, the show tries to make us think, or this could be his real plan. Like, this could be his real motive. Like, this point spelled out by Tsukishima, but also by Tsurumi because he tells it to Sophia and Usurper. He didn't want to expand the Japanese territory to Vladivostok so that the place where his comrades slept could be Japanese soil. Or that's what Tsukishima assumes. He wants it for the bones of his family instead, so their dead bodies can rest in a place that is part of Japan again. Tsukishima assumes that. He's like, wait, is that your real plan? Is that your real motive? If that is the case, if you confirm this right now, I will go into this room and kill you, Tsurumi. Because that would betray my trust in you and what you communicated to us, what your goal is and everything. And him and Koito are listening outside to the door while Tsurumi is monologuing.
Yeah, at this point, they're both very wary of him. And I think that now there's an interesting dichotomy between these groups of characters.
Yeah, absolutely. Tsurumi doesn't quite confirm that yet, though. Like, we get a flashback. We see a bit more on the background between Kiroranke and Wilk. Kiroranke accused Wilk of abandoning the Russian minorities for the sake of his daughter. Usurper, of course, switching from their original plan of, procuring land for the Russian revolutionaries to the idea of creating a sovereign state in Hokkaido instead, where the Hokkaido Ainu could be protected, live in peace. Part of that might be true, that Wilk really did shift his priorities. I think that is true. But for Kiroranke, it was the same, because it meant Wilk was abandoning Sophia, the woman he loves, and that's why he got mad at Wilk. Not necessarily because he was abandoning the Russian revolutionaries in general, but because he abandoned Sophia in his eyes. And because that was the woman Kiroranke loved, that's why he got mad at Wilk and did what he did later down the road. Wilk kept the 7 Ainu aligned in their hunt for the gold by making them understand and accept their differences. But that doesn't last because, we see that Tsurumi finds out about Wilk in the flashback when he still had his full face and everything. And the fucking smirk on Tsurumi's face when he realizes that he has finally found the man he holds responsible for his family's death is just so eerie. It's like this right, finally got you. Smirk. It's just he's really happy and he's really looking forward on fucking Wilk over and destroying his life and everything. Which is understandable. Because, even if it was not intended, maybe it was. I don't think we ever really learn if that's the case or not. Wilk did kill his daughter and wife. So, yeah. He is really happy that he found him. He tells Ariko, one of the Ainu, a half-truth about Wilk, wanting to use the gold to support Russian revolutionaries instead of the Ainu, to poison the relationship Wilk has with the other Ainu, of the group of 7. I'm not sure he knows that Wilk has already changed his goals to supporting the Ainu and his new family, but even if he did, I don't think he'd care, because he's out to sabotage Wilk and for him to die. For him to be killed, so doesn't really care if he has changed his ways, I think. And because of this metaphorical poison arrow Tsurumi shoots at Wilk, the Ainu who still trusted and those who didn't trust Wilk anymore kill each other, or killed each other. And Wilk tears off the skin of his own face to hide the fact that he's still alive, which is gruesome. We always wondered why he, when he appears in the second season as Noparabo, or what he was called, how the shit with his face came to be, how he lost that. He did it to himself to hide the fact that he was still alive, like I said. And he seeks refuge in the prison and thus eventually becomes Noparabo, who we encountered in season 2 in Abashiri prison, where Kiruranki kills him, since he decided that Wilk was weak and lost his way. So, yeah. They finally have the whole picture of that relationship, and that was pretty harrowing, was pretty sad how that came to be and how this falling out happened and everything. But it made sense, and now we know. And now Asirpa knows. And Tsurumi reveals that the gun who killed his family belonged to Wilk, not to Sophia, she has been holding herself responsible for all this time for the death of especially for his daughter, because I think she grew fond of Olga, and was really it really fucked her up when Olga got killed. Also because Russian revolutionaries made a vow to not kill any children in their crusade and so on. So that really fucked Sophia over. That's also explained why she's so intent on making sure that Asirpa stays alive and everything. She's very dedicated to her. But she's like, it wasn't your fault and everything. But also he's only saying that to fuck with her, because that's what Tsurumi is. He puts on Wilk's torn off face to fuck with Asirpa too, which is super gross, like dances in front of her. Oh, Asirpa, my daughter. So fucking creepy. And I mean, at this point, it sounds like he did all of this for revenge. If that was the case, like I said, Tsukushima says he'd kill him on the spot, but Tsurumi says he is still doing this all for his country, and his convictions have not changed. His main goal is to protect Japan from other countries. And the look on Koito's face when he realizes that Tsurumi has not betrayed them is priceless. But can he be trusted?
No.
Because as Koito later realizes, when someone tells him or tells another person that they smell of beer, that they reek like an entire beer company, Koito and Tsukushima were also doused in beer. So he's like, oh fuck, did he smell that we were next to the door and were listening in? And is that why he told the story the way he told it, to assure us that he's still on our side, that he's doing that for his country and for his soldiers and not for out of petty revenge and for his family? And the show is not like putting a definitive thing on that. It's always like, hey, maybe he did, maybe he didn't. There are some pretty strong hints that he did it solely for his family and that is his main motivation. But then he does some things where it's like, no, maybe he also cares about his country still and his soldiers. So it's just fun. It's just fun to keep us guessing. So, yeah, but
Tsurumi also gets to do one of the coldest title drops in all of this.
Yes, that comes next. Like, so he thinks neither the Eastern Russian Revolution plan nor the Izo country plan would work. He is in favor of a strong rule of Hokkaido by Japanese hand, protecting the Japanese as well as the Ainu and his Russian revolutionary friends. But, you know, you don't know if that is the truth. And yeah, he says that if Usurper believes that all things are imbued with Kamui, so gods, then she must realize that gold is an evil Kamui that corrupts, poisoned, and killed. That corrupted, poisoned, and killed her people. A golden Kamui, if you will.
God,
we have our amazing tightrope.
When they did that, I was like, no.
That fucking Tsurumi is the guy to do it, right?
Seriously.
But it's awesome.
And he says it so sinisterly. A golden Kamui. I have to look a minute how that line was delivered in the dub because he says it so in the Japanese.
Yeah. And I think that's how the episode ends, right?
Yeah, it's right on that note.
Yeah. Really cool. Really, really cool. Like perfect execution. I think that's one of the things you could highlight about Golden Kamuy. Even if the animation is not technically always there, I think just the execution of the important story moments just works pretty much 99% of the time because it has such good timing. It has such good execution. It has just such good, I don't know, framing and everything. So, good stuff. Then Tsurumi tries to suffocate Sophia with Wilk's face skin to push Usurper further to giving up the code to the gold. Extremely fucked up. Like, that visual alone is just so fucking fucked up. That ends when they eventually escape with Sophia wearing Wilk's face for a while, which then is only funny. But yeah, he also threatens Usurper with every friend and family she knows dying, just like his family did. He's such a menace.
He's crazy.
Yeah. At this point, we get filled on the fact that the code might be Wilk's Ainu name that only Usurper knows. That's why she is still important to everyone involved. We have Ipopte, who works in the 7th Division, but is an Ainu who, freeing Usurper and Sophia, but gets shot for it. He found out that Tsurumi was responsible for his father's death, which we later get, I think, filled in on a bit more. Or no, he was the guy that Tsurumi told to that, or told the fake stuff in regards to Wilk wanting to use the gold not for the Ainu but for the Russians, right? I think that was the person he told it to. That was Ipopte's dad, and so he got him killed because he involved him in that conflict. He caused the strife between the different factions of the 7 Ainu who went after the gold. So yeah, that's why Ipopte did what he did. Frees Usurper and Sophia. Usurper is almost consumed by the sorrow caused by all the people around her dying. Which happens several times in this season. You see these black ink blots, like, or she parts of her body becoming that, like dissolving into this black inkish thing, which I think symbolizes her despair and her sadness because she sees everyone around her dying. The only thing she can hold on to in these moments is Sugimoto, who's right next to her. So we hope it stays that way until the very end. But yeah. The gang gets on a train. We see a flashback to how Sugimoto came to be in the army. We have a singing rain sequence. That only works if there's actual rain, Sugimoto, you fool. But I like the fucking them putting next to each other, him dancing through the streets happily, and then after the opening, the next cut is him just fighting a bunch of soldiers.
Yeah,
immediately gave me whiplash, but it was really cool. And yeah, we learned that Kikuta and Sugimoto knew each other from training school, which, wondering about that before, how they knew each other. Did we get filled in on that?
because Kikuta uses Sugimoto, who he calls Norabo, to, I guess, fix an arranged marriage. So the woman in question does not tell people about the scandal involving Ogata's mother, which, okay.
It's
a bit. I mean, we get filled in on that a bit later on, but it was like, okay, what is all of this about? Like, I think the main important part, aside from all the callbacks in this, are that we learn a bit more about Sugimoto and his background. Like, he talks about his plans to marry his childhood friend Ume, and how he left the village because of his family dying of tuberculosis. And when he returned, Ume had married his other childhood friend Toraji, who I think dies in the war, right? That's what happens in the first season, right? And that's what makes him go for the gold, to support Ume with the gold, or his hometown at least. I don't know if she's even still alive, but I think it's to support her. Him saying that probably in that flashback still has feelings for him makes Kikuta really mad. Maybe something's up with his own past there, I'm not quite sure, but Kikuta believes that keeping like belongings of other people for yourself after they die makes you stronger. And he gives Sugimoto the hat and uniform of his little brother who died in the Sino-Japanese War, and that's the hat that Sugimoto keeps later, and that he still has, I must assume. And it has kept him alive, if you want to believe what Kikuta believes. So that was pretty neat. They have like this cool relationship that I didn't expect, and that got thrown in here last minute, but still feels kind of neat. And but yeah, Ogata meets Sugimoto thing. There's like this thing happening where the woman, is it Kaiko? Yeah,
Kaneko, yeah.
But she wants to marry Sugimoto because he's hot, and because she thinks he's another person. Like she thinks he's Ogata's brother Yusaku, whose face I think we've never seen, and we've never see here either. But he did. Kikuta's plan is for Sugimoto to pose as him and to make her commit to her marriage. So she marries Yusaku and doesn't have a motive to propagate to tell people about the scandal with his mom anymore, and so on. So yeah, we have this weird scene where she invites him to dinner and then tries to get him naked and to have sex with him to force him basically to marry her and everything. But then, the Tsurumi at the army runs in because they suspect something else is happening, and it's this weird screwball comedy thing that is happening. But nothing really comes of that because Sugimoto escapes and everything. And also Kaiko, of course, doesn't marry him because Sugimoto is poor, and her maid convinces her that her parents would never allow this anyway. And yeah, so it was a neat little flashback, and we get some more interesting info bits about Ogata and his brother, and about Kikuta and everything. And I mean, Kikuta is the one who actually put the idea of in Sugimoto's head to join the army. So he has a very integral part in Sugimoto's past, as it turns out. Not only because of the hat he gave him and everything, but without him, Sugimoto would not have been in the army, and he would not be the person he is today. So that was interesting. Even though he himself does not want Sugimoto to join, because he talked his little brother into enlisting, and his little brother died. So he holds himself responsible. He says, I basically murdered him, which, damn.
Yeah.
That's some baggage. But, I mean, Sugimoto takes a bit of that baggage away by saying it's still his decision to join up, and so was the decision with Kikuta's little brother. He didn't decide that completely for him. He, pushed him a bit in the direction, and maybe so he's a partial responsibility for his brother dying, but it's not entirely on him because his brother could still have said no. And so he's taking a bit of the load off Kikuta's shoulders, which was nice. And yeah, both Kikuta and Ogata were sent by the government to spy on Tsurumi. That's why they didn't kill each other when they met earlier in the episode at the beer factory. Because the government wants to make sure that Tsurumi doesn't stray from their intended goal for once he has procured the gold. And of course, Tsurumi has a different plan. And, Kikuta and Ogata are supposed to make sure that his different plan doesn't come to fruition. But yeah, things escalate quickly when Tsurumi states he has identified the location of the gold. He shoots Kikuta because he had already figured out that he was a spy, of course. That was, I think, the last-minute gift from Usami before he died. He told him that. Tsurumi considers him killing Kikuta as the 7th Division point of no return, because now the government will come after them for sure. So they have to act fast and get the gold. And we get this awesome scene of Kikuta saying he's got a first-class ticket to hell, and Tsurumi will be killed by Sugimoto, so he'll make sure that there's room next to him. And then Tsukishima shoots Kikuta in the head and says, Lieutenant Tsurumi only sits next to me. And it was just, he is devoted, that's for sure. Like, he is definitely in it for Tsurumi, and he can't really go back on that anymore. Like, he's after that confirmation, when they listened to him talk about his goals to Usurpa and Sophia, he took that as he got spurned on by that, I think, furthermore, invigorated. Like, his devotion got invigorated. His devotion to Tsurumi got invigorated again. So, even if he was doubting himself before and was doubting Tsurumi before. And, yeah, the gold is in Fort Goryokaku in Hakodate, is what we learn. And pretty much both parties figure that out at the same time. Our guys on the train with the maps, and Tsurumi with his copies. And yeah. What happens then, John? Where are we going next?
Going on a hunt for some gold. Gonna go digging. Or so we think. Going down to Hakodate, to this old, like you said, this old military fortress, Goryokaku. And they basically have to make a plan to make their final stand here.
Mm-hmm. Because they can't transport away all the gold in time before Tsurumi gets there, right?
There's that. Yeah, they don't. I think at this point, it's not known on either side that the other has figured it out. But, both sides have to act like, yeah, maybe they've got this, they also have it figured out. So they're going there. They have to, Sugimoto and his group basically have to search everywhere. And
they have an inkling to there might be something in a specific storehouse, because there's this character on Hijikata's chest tattoo that spells God, and the way the kanji is spelled, and it's the only character that is pretty close to gold, the spelling of gold in Japanese. So that's what they search for. But they find something else. What do they find?
They find a deed for land. I forget where it was. Was it in Hokkaido? Yes. And this was
forested land.
Yeah, forested land. And this was the thing that Wilk and the others were trying to basically keep under wraps. Because that land belongs to the Ainu.
It's apparently a deal they made with the Meiji government, which I guess was kind of legal in a way, but
as legal as it can be.
Yeah, they made sure that this would hold before whatever legal instance that might have complaints about that. And so, as long as an Ainu is involved, they can claim that land with that book of deeds. So this becomes another. I mean, this is immediately. Asirpa makes us very happy, right? Because she had her problems with using the gold because it's it like Tsurumi says, it has killed and corrupted a lot of her people, and she was worried that this would only get worse if she used the gold because it's kind of bad spirit or whatever. But since the gold was converted into land already, and that this deed would help her give the Ainu the ability to protect their forests, their land from outside influences and live there, it's kind of the best outcome for her, and she's intent on holding on to the deed.
Mm-hmm. And that seems like that might have been the thing until they keep searching and they find, I think it's like an old well that was used for horses to drink from.
Yeah, I mean, Hijikata once studies the deeds book a bit more intensely and realizes that only half of the gold was used for buying the land, right? And then they're like, okay, the rest of the gold gotta be somewhere around here.
Yeah, and after digging and searching around, they find this well and they go down it, and what do they find? A whole lot of gold and a bunch of different sacks.
Yeah. And just at this moment, Tsurumi with the entire 7th Division and a couple of destroyers helmed by Koito's dad arrives at the fort.
Yeah, they kind of bring in the quite literal biggest guns they can.
Yeah, so this turns into an all-out war.
Shiraishi kind of loses his mind when they find the gold.
Yeah, he was so... he was so fucking intent on finding this gold, and he gets really, he gets gold fever. That's definitely happening there. But, yeah, it's also the time for some reason... Like, what a time for Shiraishi to address the square on Ushiyama's forehead for the first time. But you're noticing now?
Dude?
But yeah, so we have, we have Ijikata's / Asirpa / Sugimoto's group in the fort, trying to hold the ground, being shot from the outside by the destroyers with guns. Nagakura, the older advisor to Hijikata, surrenders to Tsurumi, or at least he pretends to, and tries to con him into stopping the cannon barrage, by telling him about the deed. He says he will convince everyone to surrender, but in reality he wants to get the others a better chance to win, by stopping the bombardment, and wants to have also a face-to-face fight with Tsurumi in the fort, because that's also what Hijikata wants. Not being completely just killed by a bunch of cannon fire. Tsurumi figures this out immediately, that this is kind of like a con, but also he's very interested in the deed. Because he's like, okay, I could use this. So I can't use the guns except to destroy some of the fortifications, but then we have to go in because I don't want that book to be destroyed. I don't want to risk that. I can't level the entire fort, which was my initial plan, because you could still dig up the gold from there. It won't get destroyed by the campfire, but that book might be, and we need that because he comes up later with a plan to grow opium flowers on that land. And that will make him and his companions rich, grow their power, and stop Russia from taking over Hokkaido and Manchuria. Still not clear if he's just doing this to eventually own the land where his family is laid to rest, or if he really is also doing it for his fallen comrades.
That's gotta be the end game, right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, that's the point where we look into his mind and we see him flying over a field of flowers, and he says, I'm gonna plant opium poppies across all the land where my family is laid to rest and whatever. So at least that's part of the of his goal. But the other thing might still also be part of that, like securing a future for his comrades and his country by expanding it and making it stronger by having deals with Manchuria and whatever against Russia's forces. So both could be true. I don't know what gets more the stronger focus for him. It sounds like he's just trying to achieve both. But yeah, Koito isn't so sure about that, I think, like down the road, because there is a moment where he realizes that that Tsurumi has always lied to him to manipulate him. He finally, I mean, we can assume he knew before that Tsurumi was involved in his kidnapping to pull him to his side. But I think this is the first moment where he verbalizes that to himself and says, "You just had to ask for my help, and I would have gladly given it." But he rejects Tsurumi for the first time at this point, and he's like, "No, I can't do this anymore." And asks Tsukishima if he will come, but Tsukishima is still under Tsurumi's spell. He can't get out there. He's like, okay, no, I can't. I'm dedicated to this man. So, yeah. But I guess Koito has warded off the spell at this point, which happens a bit later during the confrontation when they've already stormed the fort. But yeah, so yeah, they storm the fort, they stop the bombardment. What else happens?
I mean, Sophia and all of her people are there throughout all of this as well, helping dig the fortress up, helping them fight like tooth and nail.
Yes, Sophia, of course, wants to make sure Sirpa is safe. Also, getting the hands on the gold would also not be bad, of course. But I think her main mission is Sirpa, and so she makes a deal with Hijikata to help them. 120 revolutionaries, I think she's bringing with them. And they're fighting and trying to defend the fort. A lot of them get killed, but also a lot of Tsurumi's 7th Division gets killed. We get a flashback to Hijikata's youth, like to the first fight that he had at this place before. And apparently he was saved by the original Ainu who had acquired the gold back in the day. And his mission is partly about paying off his debt to Kimuspu by helping Sirpa. That was pretty nice. We didn't know about that. Like, we always assumed his only motive was what he said, like reviving the Ezo Republic, which was his motive before. And I mean, that existed, but got taken out by the government pretty quickly. And he had to flee and ended up in prison and everything. But in prison, he met Wilk, and it ended up how it ended up, and he decided that he would protect Wilk's daughter and to repay the debt he owed for being rescued by the Ainu in that first battle. So that was also pretty cool. Like some really nice last-minute character bits that put some of our characters that were established from the first season on in a new light, and makes their motives much more understandable and everything. So it's really cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool full circle stuff in this one.
Yeah, absolutely. The 7th Division starts to storm the fort to stop the destroyers from being able to give further artillery backup. Nagakura, Kadokura, and Kiravus, and I think Mansur, one of the Russians, right?
Mm-hmm.
They get an old cannon that was hidden at the first battle that happened at the fort, and they just actually managed to destroy. To sink, they heavily damage 3 of the destroyers, so they apparently can't fire anymore, and sink the last one, the one that has Koito's dad on it, like as the captain, and who decides to go down with his ship, which is kind of a haunting image where he just ties himself to the steering wheel, and then just the water dropping in on him.
You could have gotten away and been safe, dude. Like, what?
I mean, it was kind of in style for captains at this time to go down with their ship.
I guess, but even so.
I mean, it's sad in a way, but it's kind of fitting ending for the character because he was a very staunch, very traditionalist, army guy, or Navy guy in this case, and it would make sense that he would choose that to be his end. So I didn't have any problem with it. I felt sorry for Koito, but
that's true. I feel more sorry for him than for.
And his dad had an awesome scene when Koito got kidnapped in an earlier season. Riding the weird motorcycle thing.
Yeah,
that was awesome. So yeah. But yeah, he goes down with the ship, managed to fire off a final barrage of shots, which blows up the cannon. Also, Mansur loses an arm. Kira has broken legs, but they survive, thankfully. I was worried they would die. And Karakura survives as well, but I think at this point they're out of the game. Like at least for now, their involvement in this conflict is over.
Mm-hmm.
We have Tony, the ear guy, dying. A strong image of him just sitting there, enjoying the quiet death brings. That was a neat moment. Sad again because he's also a cool character, but it's nice that he had for himself peaceful ending for himself because this war was very loud.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have Sugimoto and Nikaido having their final brutal battle. It's pretty short, but it's gruesome. Like the way they stab at each other and shoot at each other, and Nikaido using all his hidden tricks and everything, jamming those chopsticks in fucking Sugimoto's face.
Oh, God.
It was just Sugimoto getting one of his cheeks blown out from Nikaido's gun and everything, the one he has in his prosthetic leg.
Man, this season was nothing if not brutal.
Yeah. I mean, there's some moments where I feel like they didn't go all out. Like when the cannon barrage happens, you see one set of Russian revolutionists being blown up, and then Tsurumi standing with his arm stretched out, being showered by blood, and then a hand falls on his head. It was amazing. It's like this badass scene where it's like standing in the blood shower, and then this hand falls on his head, and it's like, oh! It's so amazing that Golden Kamuy is not afraid to take a jab at its awesome characters and make them look like idiots for a couple of seconds. So it's just cool. But yeah, aside from that, there were some moments where it's like, no, they're just blowing up, but you don't see any blood. But this fight was just,
yeah.
Just they went all out with the gore and everything, and it was just goddamn brutal.
God, I can't imagine. After the adrenaline wears off, Sugimoto is probably going to be like, ugh!
Yeah, probably. I mean, but he's used to it. He's just...
he is immortal after all.
Yeah. For now, anyway. So, yeah. But like we said, Nikaido wants to avenge his twin brother, Yohei. Almost gets to blow up himself and Sugimoto with the grenade he shoves in his own crotch. But Sugimoto manages to push him into a hole. And when Nikaido is literally blown in half, it's like coming face to face with his brother again.
Yeah. Oh.
Incredible scene. And so is seeing immortal Sugimoto with his glowing eyes standing in front of the explosion. Like it It was scary and awesome at the same time. Always like these glimpses when his more animalistic nature comes through in the battle scenes. Sugimoto, Asirpa, and Shiraishi escape on horseback. Sugimoto's horse gets shot, and Asirpa almost falls off the bridge, but gets saved last minute by Tanigaki, who we have not seen this entire season. What a comeback. I cheered. It's very short-lived, but it was still awesome to see him there because he came out of nowhere. The last time we saw him, he rescued Inkarmat, and she apparently has given birth to his child now and everything. And he, by chance, sees Nagakura riding past, and even though Nagakura says, don't come to the fort and so on, Tanigaki can't resist because he still feels like he has a debt to pay off. So... a lot about paying off debts in this season, but he saves Asirpa from falling and also falling in the hands of Tsurumi again, who's just running after them like a fucking Terminator, and that was awesome. And we have Sophia confronting Tsurumi again. She hesitates a bit too long to shoot him because she still holds herself partially responsible for his family dying, especially his daughter. And thus, he shoots her first.
Yeah.
And right before she dies, he tells her he forgives her, and then puts another 3 bullets in her and the picture of her, Kiroranka, and Wilk, erasing Wilk's head in the picture, which was an awesome visual. And then he just rides off smiling / laughing like a madman on the back of Tsukushima's horse. I don't know what to make of that scene specifically. Like, is he super happy that his family has been fully avenged finally? All the people involved, technically, or mainly involved in his family's death, have now been killed. So I guess that's it. But he's always been fucking crazy, so this might be just the adrenaline from the battle or whatever. I don't know, but it's a haunting visual, definitely. Like, looking up, like you only see the white in his eyes, basically, and just the brain fluid seeping out from under his mask, and he's maniacally laughing.
God, every time the fluid leaks out from under the thing, I was just like, ugh, every time it happened. Like, I get it, but it's still like, ugh.
Yeah. He's involved in so many wild scenes. There's also a wild scene where he jerks off his shotgun in this fucking season, one of the episodes. Oh god, this show is amazing. But yeah, Asirpa sees all of this. So she might get lost in despair and try to kill Tsurumi down the road. We'll see. That might happen in the final special that we get in winter. I don't know. I don't know if Sugimoto will be able to protect her from that.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, a lot happened in this season, and we're coming up on the very tail end of it. So
yeah, and I mean, the show always hints at her really suffering from seeing so many people she knows, likes, and loves partially dying. So I don't know if that will turn into something, or if Sugimoto will always be there to protect her. We'll see.
I mean, I feel like that's some foreshadowing.
Yeah, pretty much. Asirpa's group boards a train that has the next wave of Tsurumi's men on it, unfortunately. That was a fuck you reveal. That was so mean. It's like, oh god, we're finally safe. Wait a minute, don't the trains to Hakodate always run in the morning and evening? Why is there one in the noon or afternoon? And then, whoa, okay, it's an extraordinary army train with fucking with the backup for Tsurumi, and then they have to fight their way through the train. Tanigaki gets immediately shot by Tsurumi and kicked off the train. I hope he's safe. Ushiyama cleans house, which is awesome. We get like this really cool pan around camera shot where the camera pans around him, where he throws a bunch of soldiers out the window, which from the outside looks very funny. You always see like these straightforward, horizontal lined people flying out the windows. And that's just him just throwing the soldiers out of the train. And then we have this awesome moment where Hichikata and Sugimoto storm the train car as fellow warriors. That's also really neat. Where it says like, I don't even know what Sugimoto says. Something like, maybe I'm too emotional or something like that. And I think Hichikata says, no, that's the way of the warrior. That's Bushido. And that, Sugimoto is still around helping Asirpa, basically. That's the reason why he's doing it, because he's a warrior and that's what warriors do or whatever. I don't know. But it was an awesome scene. Just one with the bayonet and one with the sword and so on. So, yeah. Really cool. And yeah, they're cornered from all sides, and Ogata, who won his sniper duel with Vasily, has boarded the locomotive. So there's currently nobody stopping this train ride to hell.
I wonder about Vasily.
Because we didn't see him actually.
We didn't see a body, man.
Yeah, we only see his gun drop out of the tree.
Okay, we see a few drops of blood and his gun, but I'm like, I think he's still out there.
Could be. Like, for we had a lot of people returning who we didn't see explicitly die so far, so it could be the case. But it could also have been like a stylistic choice and more like of a somber ending to that character. Not actually seeing his body, but the way Ogata explains it, that Vasily has lost the sniper duel and that he actually killed him. But we don't know. You're right. That he could still make an appearance in the finale of this.
But yeah, the name of the arc will appropriately be titled Train Ride to Hell, which is gonna come in winter. And we must assume that we'll wrap up Golden Kamuy with how many episodes they will do for that. I don't know. We'll see. Probably will be like a 1 hour special, maybe 2 hours.
I mean, it's like 14, I forget how many, 14 or 15 chapters. So I could see it being like movie length-ish if they wanted to maybe fit everything in there and make it work. But I guess we'll have to see.
Yeah, movie could be cool. Could put that in theaters. Would be nice seeing Golden Kamuy in theaters. We'll see. But yeah, that's how this season ends. And I don't know what to say, John. This was a kick-ass season. Just from beginning to end, amazing. As usual.
Man, this show started off so... Like, I know it was one of the ones that Crunchyroll was pushing because they always pick like one show to push big every season. And they pushed this one. And I remember just being like, yeah, all right, check it out. Oh my God. What a ride, dude. From the weird state it was in from the start to seeing Geno Studio get to grow over the next couple of seasons. And I'm still kind of sad they handed it off, but you know, it's come a long way.
A good job, though.
Yeah.
And I think they're going to continue to do a job with the last special. And man, I feel like you said, from the first season, or this first season still felt a bit of, wonky in terms of animation and parts. And I wasn't sure what to make of it. I had to first get, let's say, a taste for the humor that they have, even though it was pretty JoJo-esque and everything. I learned to love it pretty quickly, but first I didn't. I thought this would be a serious show, and then I said, "Oh, okay, no, this is that." I got it. And I mean, it can be serious in parts, but it's also very wacky and like the right mix that JoJo's can do. So I really like that. Also, kind of feels similar style in terms of animation and everything. So. These shows are kind of comparable, and yeah, I have been loving it since at least liking it since the first season, loving it since the second season, definitely. And it only expanded, it only ramped up the action and the amazing cast of characters, and always surprised us. And every time with every character is just this twists and turns, shifting alliances, and it's so much fun to witness. And I'm really looking forward to seeing the finale in winter. I cannot wait. We have to wait, sadly, but not too long. At least we know when we're getting it, so that's nice. And yeah, I mean, John already said you can watch it on Crunchyroll, so definitely do that. John, do you have some final words for this amazing season of Golden Kamuy?
I don't know concretely how to say, but man, this season was probably the biggest and craziest one. I feel like it was the largest in scale because we had this road trip, like literally across the country. We blew up a beer factory. We started a war. And now this runaway train is going to be... So I'm here for it. I'm ready for the end of this story, man.
So am I. Looking forward to seeing these characters one final time. It's gonna be a hoot. I am convinced of that.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a wrap on the 181st episode of Anime Brain Freeze. All the music in our podcast is from the Double Dragon Neon soundtrack by the amazing Jake Kaufman. Please go to virt.bandcamp.com and check out his awesome work. Find us where all the podcasts live, but also check out animebrainfreeze.com for our review index and more. Please leave us a review and rating on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your podcast app of choice if you can. Follow us on the socials or send an email to animebrainfreeze@gmail.com. We would love to read your feedback. Thanks for tuning in. We hope you had a good time, and please join us again on our next episode. Macht's gut.
So long, everybody. Next time on Anime Brain Freeze.
What will prevail in this utopian society?
Nature,
nurture,
love,
or the instinct to kill?